Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to the D1NZ, the National Drifting Championship. I am your lead host for the weekend, Warren Sear, and welcome along to fantastic fielding here in the mighty Manawatū. Joining us this weekend, a very, very special guest commentator, 2024 Pro Sport Champion, Keisuke Nagashima. Keisuke, welcome along.
It's good to be here, Warren, at Manfeild Circuit, Chris Amon. We're going to be here. It's a lovely day today. You know, it's awesome for the drifters. It's going to pump a lot of smoke and hopefully put on a show for everyone.
So, Keisuke, we're getting down to kind of the challenging end of the championship. Who have you sort of felt has stood out so far to you as somebody who both competed in the last round and has been watching?
Yeah, look, there's been so many drivers that have stepped up this year. Obviously in the pro field, there's Luke, that's winning the championship at the moment. And then second and third, obviously very close behind. And same with the pro sport guys with Curtis Lilly, you know, podium quite well this season. So, no, everyone's pretty good to watch.
All right, and tell me, what are you looking forward to most as our pit reporter getting amongst the action?
To be honest, I'm here to hype up the boys, make sure that everyone, and the girls actually, there's a couple of special females driving this weekend. So, yeah, no, it's good to, you know, just be a part of it and make sure that everyone has a good time.
All right, so I was going to mention that to you, of course, the girls. Great to see new drivers coming into the championship.
Yeah, 100%. You know, drifting is a sport for everyone, not just guys. It's, you know, it's anyone that can steer a car behind, you know, you're on. So, no, it should be good.
All right, thank you so much, Keisuke Nagashima. All right, let's take a look at the Manfeild track and see what the drivers have been asked to do here this weekend.
It's time for round 4 of the D1NZ Drift Championship, and this weekend we are in the mighty Manawatū, the lower North Island of New Zealand. We are set to go drifting at Manfeild Circuit. Chris Amon, rich with Kiwi motorsport history and the Formula 1 legend. It is a fantastic circuit here with lots of camber, a fast-flowing track, and the midsection here is the battleground for the drifters this weekend. For round 4, we see the return of the rolling start around turn 1. There is a start chicane leading up to the outside line through the initiation. It's crucial to get the car pitched in on a midline approach, carrying lots of speed here to really set up that first outside zone on the right-hand side of the track. From here, they cut across to the return of the traditional inside clip as a reference point, heading into outside clip 3, which is a touch and go to lay up the approach over the hump and onto the banked camber. It's wide, it's a lot of throttle and a lot of speed to set up off outside zone 4, stretching that diff ratio and the car speed to really throw it in deep. A lot of camber here again, and the judges are asking for a longer outer zone to keep the cars wide before dipping down into that final apex.
Alright guys, Ben Kai from D1NZ, the chase judge here for your lead run example from the Swarm Drift boys there in the BMW and the Driven S15. So we're on a nice faint entry, sitting high on the bank from the lead car. It's going to be full throttle, a little bit of off-throttle, switch into the zone, rear of the car into the zone, then hit the first touch and go, then push out wide to the second touch and go, full throttle up the bank as wide as possible, fill that zone, snap here, a little bit of off-throttle adjustment, then back on full throttle to push through the final inner clip, and then out wide across the finish. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your lead run for D1 round 4.
Keeping an eye on those 6 major scoring zones will be our judging officials for the event. Former pro driver Matt Kwok, our lead judge, alongside Benkai Bruin, our chase judge from Australia. Tony Gallagher slotting in for style, and the return of former Drift South champion Joel Counter stepping in as our driving standards observer and review judge for the weekend. And these are the set penalties that will mark the drivers down during their laps here. It's important to stick to the judges' line without dropping wheels off the track. Stay away from those ripple strips, straight lining the car, steering corrections, unforced errors, and of course, not dropping too far back in the chase run. Our new for 2025 3-strike system is back again for round 4, and again single wheel drops are now accumulative, and while rubbing's racing, hitting the lead car and forcing a line adjustment will see you penalised heavily this weekend, and keeping those front wheels off those ripple strips is going to keep you out of trouble.
So we're live and ready to roll here at Manfeild. Keisuke, you're an ex-pro sport driver. I'm going to leave you to call the pro sport action. I think you know a little bit about our first driver, Caleb Sheehan. Why don't you tell us about him while I head over to the commentary booth?
Sounds good, Warren. I mean, Caleb Sheehan, I went to Drift Tasmania 2 weekends ago, and he was actually the championship winner from Drift League Tasmania. So he knows how to steer a car. He's in Connor Halligan's spare car, which is a 2JZ, stock block, 500 kilowatts, so it's plenty, and obviously on the 235 radio. So hopefully he does well. He bloody did well in Tasmania, and I'm hoping he has a good time today.
All right, we are locked and loaded and ready to start qualifying for round 4 of the Pro Sport 235 class here in New Zealand, wherever you're watching around the world. Big shout out to everyone tuning in on the live stream this afternoon at Oversteer TV, and everyone that has come here for a bit of an early taste of tomorrow's main event here at the track at Manfeild. A big hello to everyone from friendly Feilding and afar who have come to enjoy the action as we get ready to qualify, which will set the seeding bracket into tomorrow.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ruddle. Technical commentator Caleb Sheehan up for his first pass for the afternoon. Likeable Tasmanian gentleman, but a little bit wide there, Kenny. Gets a little bit ugly in the first pass.
The other Tasmanian driver that we see in the Pro Championship, Brodie Mark, competing in D1NZ this year, certainly serving up some wild action over the last few rounds. It's great to have another Tassie boy in the house.
I love the fact that D1NZ has got quite international this season. We've sort of talked a lot about the various drivers' heritages over the course of the 3 rounds that we've been through already. But we go from international flavour to right here local. And this is Mr. Broughton, who was a local lad, the Central House Movers race team. Jay Broughton, A31 Safira. Kenny, something that you know a little bit about over the years from your background in drifting. Kenny Ruddle and I have been involved in this sport for a little bit over, 20 odd years through the various incarnations, where the A31 Safira was at one point, Kenny, the car to have, wasn't it?
Yeah, the long wheelbase Nissan platform from the late 80s, early 90s certainly became one of the favoured options in the drift scene around the world for the guys that could get those JDM imports, and especially here in New Zealand, they became super popular because they were rear-wheel drive. They were a 6-cylinder, a straight 6-cylinder, and could take a bit of turbo power as well. So they became almost like Nissan Lego over the years, because a lot of the RB platforms, the RB engine platforms, had similar parts that could be shared across different chassis.
It used to be a thing, really, didn't it, that a car used to be almost built in a week to come and compete at D1NZ back in the good old days of silage stack tyres. And Jay Broughton, I think, actually has had this car for over 10 years, probably even longer than that. He's been competing for a really long time. We sort of tend to see Jay in the local regional competitions. He's a member of the Manawatū Car Club here, I think, in the local region, so certainly knows this track very well, but probably a bit of a messy start for him considering his local track knowledge. Kenny, one of the big stories of the weekend, Zalia Mir. The first time we've had a brother and sister competing in D1NZ on the same occasion. So Zalia Mir is the younger sister at 17 years old of Braden Mir in the pro class. Been behind the wheel for about 2 years, I'm told. Done a lot of Mad Mike Drift Force days, done a few Mat Series, etc. And Zalia is certainly one that I'm sure a lot of people are cheering on from the live stream and also here in person with Zalia getting the keys to a brand new car that hasn't been driven for this weekend. So let's see how she goes, because I'm really interested in this, in the fast female.
Four-door Nissan platform, the C33 Laurel.
Channeling that the big car energy, isn't it, from back in the day. She's not too bad here for Zalia Mir, and if she can actually complete this run, oddly enough, Kenny, she's actually going to be leading, I think, because I don't think we've had a score get banked here. But Zalia Mir's going to stay in the throttle there. Some smoke coming off the rear there. Okay, I'll take the blame for that one, Kenny. Is that, we call that a bobble, or is that fully out of drift?
I think that was that was a straight line and a re-initiation into the skate bowl, or what I call the skate bowl here at the Manfeild drift section, which is going to be the key spot to watch when the Pro Championship comes out tomorrow. During their battles, we will see the Pro Championship guys qualifying a bit later on this afternoon, in about an hour's time, as we get through the Pro Sport 235 class. Now, if you've just joined us, this is the 235 restricted class here in D1NZ. Cars able to run a 235 radial tyre, which does not have the semi-slick compound that you'll see on the big Pro Championship cars. And they're also not allowed to run nitrous oxide.
Right, they can run a semi-slick front though, can't they? Yes,
yep.
They can run. Yeah, so it's always important to try and give you guys as much insight into what the cars are able to do and not do. So is this the local man Troy Brown?
I think this is
Local man Troy
180.
Brown. Yeah, done a lot of laps around here, Troy Brown. He is one of the true OGs of the Manawatū Car Club drift scene, and he looks very familiar straight away, doesn't he, with the track? He just, maybe that's my fault there, put a little bit of commentator's hex on him there. It's also nice to see Troy sporting some new sponsorship, I think, for the weekend. I haven't seen him previously carry sponsor livery, so good to see new companies getting involved with our pro sport drivers here in New Zealand. So
It's also good to have a local driver in the mix as well, with a bit of local knowledge, and certainly getting out there and having some fun in front of a home crowd.
yeah, well, I think, look, the big local hope, of course, and there'll be a lot of probably fans here tomorrow for Olive Krona Drift Motorsport, Jaron Olive Krona, not I'll have a Corona, Jaron Olive Krona.
But it's Friday.
It is Friday. It's Friday and it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but Jaron Olive Krona returns to the series for round 4, and we'll see him in about a couple of hours' time for pro qualifying. At the moment, if you have just joined us on the broadcast, we are in the Pro Sport 235 series, the development class. These are drivers generally, Kenny, who haven't had as many laps, or maybe are just finding their way in the sport, looking to get that experience before stepping up to the semi-slicks and the wider modifications available in the Pro Series. But nonetheless, we talked at length last round about how, I mean, Pro Sport wasn't development last time we saw them. They were probably, I think it's fair to say, they were almost the better part of the show.
Well, the top 8 at the last round certainly threw down one of the best comps that I'd seen in a long time. The Pro Sport guys around the concrete walls at Go Media Stadium in Auckland. Of course, that's one of the big talking points heading into tomorrow, is the competition changing from one of the slowest, arguably the slowest track on the season, that's the shortest track on the season, then flipping the script and coming to the fastest track of the season, where the pro guys are going to be upwards of 180 kilometres an hour on entry. So it's going to be crazy to see those guys in action.
All right, so this is Mr. Sheehan from Tasmania in the Halligan Motorsport team car, isn't it, that Connor Halligan put together over the course of the past few weeks. I think I saw some footage of this car on the dyno, and Mr. Sheehan looks pretty solid this time around, definitely feeling a lot more comfortable, looking like he's going to bank the first big score of the Pro Sport 235 qualifying. Gets out nice and wide to that outside zone there, stalls it up slightly, but then jumps back on the gas and rolls out of the section with a rolling burnout. So I think we are pretty much all outside zone, apart from one.
There are two inner clips, and yeah, he was dancing with the outer line there, but he managed to keep it on the track. So that actually might be one of the better set of points on the board. Troy Brown to the top at the moment, early pace setter with an 85.2. Zalia Mir, Jay Broughton,
Broughton, I think it is, Jay Broughton.
Caleb Sheehan, those guys are getting the ghost point, what we call the ghost point, which is basically 1 point on the board for leaving the line under your own power, but unfortunately unable to actually complete a run through the section, so they don't have a score per se on the qualifying sheet at the moment. So Troy Brown leading at the moment, an 85.2.
Yeah, I think Sheehan will jump over him with that run there. It looked pretty solid compared to what Troy threw down. So Caleb Sheehan has completed his 2 passes. If you have just joined us here, we have just kicked off in the Pro Sport 235 qualifying. We're only in the first batch of 5 cars. There are 25 cars facing the starter here today for Pro Sport, and this is the second pass for local lad Jay Broughton, Central House Movers A31 Safiro, and good to see him back in the D1NZ competition, having picked just to do a few rounds this year. May see him again at Bay Park. We tend to see a lot of drivers come out of the woodwork for that final round, Kenny, because everyone loves the big Bay Park atmosphere under lights. Jay Broughton will bank a second score there, and that will be solid points for him. Now, did Caleb Sheehan jump over Troy Brown?
No, not quite. Just shy. So Troy Brown, 85.2. Caleb Sheehan, 85. Currently in P2. We'll update you the scores as the qualifying session gets underway. And if you're new to the series or unfamiliar with the qualifying session that we run here at D1NZ, we actually run back-to-back dual qualifying pass system. We do both of your runs on a similar track condition. So here at the longer circuits, we send them out in batches. So there might be 3 to 5 cars per group.
Yeah, so that was, we were talking about Zalia Mir, but that was, of course, Kim Thorley. So this is also the first time that we've had two female. Here we are, Zalia Mir in the brand new build for her, 17 years old. She's a netballer, a runner, and a all-round bit of an athlete. It seems to be in the mare genetics, really, doesn't it? I saw some footage the other day of, I think it was Braden Mare in a boxing match, I'm pretty sure. So there must be some interesting discussions around the dinner table. And Zalia Mir looks way more comfortable this time, Kenny. She's getting this one nice and smooth. This is where she had some challenges before. She gets it locked up, and she stays in the gas. That one's a waiver out of it, but it will get her 3. Will that be a 3, Kenny, or will they? Will they give her a complete score?
There's a few moments there that I think it may be an incomplete, so we'll have to wait to see. And there it is there. So Zalia Mir with 2 1-point ghost points on offer. So now how many starters do we have? Because we will be running all the competitors this weekend.
25.
25 starters in the Pro Sport for round 4.
So if you qualify in the first 7, that will give you a bypass into the 16. So very important for your Dean Youngs, your Curtis Lillys, your Corbin Wilsons, Guy Maxwell, Dan Edwards, those guys who are at the top of the tree so far. But we know, of course, that Blake Miles and Jason were also within striking distance as we watch Troy Brown, local man, again with, as we mentioned, a new sponsorship on board for the weekend. I think it's Flex Group on the side of the car. Flex Engineering it is for Troy Brown. And Troy Brown currently leading qualifying with an 85.2. So majority out of zones with a couple of inners here this weekend at Manfeild, the fastest circuit on the calendar for this year. Kenny, with the Concrete Crucible and Bay Park both part of the series this year. So a couple of rounds out of the way at Taupo, of course, that we saw with the unique backwards layout. Then we went to the.
It's super interesting.
Yeah.
It's a faster section, but it was. A lot of technicality in that reverse, the standard normal direction off the standing start off the front straight, which was,
All right, let's talk about this. Kim Thorley, Drift Mama. One of the real interesting stories, one of the characters of D1NZ, Kim Thorley, and this happened via, actually this broadcast, and her husband Mike, who said, if you can find Kim a sponsor for Manfeild, she'll come and do it. She's never competed before. She's been doing Drift South. And a sponsor came forward, paid the entry fee, and here she goes for her first qualifying run here at Manfeild. Kim and her family made the commitment to come down, and they did some practice laps at the Jamboree that was held here a couple of weeks ago, and I have just fully hexed her, haven't I, Kenny? So she's just come out of that drift there, and that will be a 3 for effectively a boarding that run halfway through it. I wonder if they're still having some problems, because we know that the gearbox and clutch had to come out of that car this morning. I think she actually fully toasted the clutch in the practice this morning, so some challenges there for Drift Mama, and she will get a 3 for that.
Drift Mama in the house.
Yeah, I would say that Drift Mama will probably win the online popularity contest, because we know that there are a number of Drift Mama fans out there, certainly somebody who goes out of her way to always present her car well and engage with fans. Now, speaking of which, Jake Fastnage also returns to competition with some support from Solace panel beaters. That is formerly was black and yellow, looked like a bumblebee.
Big livery change.
Yeah, Solace panel beaters coming on board for rounds 4 and 5 of the series for Jake Fastnage, a popular young man from Auckland, competed in MSC Challenge, and it's a nice wide start there from Jake Fastnage. Just on the gas. I do like that high, long shot, Kenny. Gives us a great perception of what the cars are doing and behaving like out there on track. And it's just I'm just picturing later on, as we see perhaps the semi-slick tired cars, just how much. Jake Fastnage though gets too wide there and digs a big trench in. It's not gentle when you get out there, Kenny. There's some big trenches, and
it's a really aggressive wheel drop as you drop over the curb there, and it can actually deal quite a bit of damage to the wheels and the underside of the rear end of the cars. So
I'm just trying
You've got to stay off the curbs, because it is a deduction to use too much of them, and then obviously if you are over and drop a wheel, that will result in a penalty from the judges.
Yeah, I'm just thinking back. I feel like we have seen in past that it is possible for the cars almost to dig in there, because the trench gets quite deep, and then you smack into that ripple strip really hard. So this is Johnny Burns, Max ECU sponsored S14. So Johnny Burns back in competition. We haven't seen him yet so far this season. Doesn't have the smoke velocity that, we're getting untidy. We're getting untidy here in pro sport, but look, we're not.
It was a great start, but then it washed out, and it was all she wrote for the first lap there. But great to see so many fresh names coming back, and new names coming into the scene as well for the pro sport class, and new cars, new rides, new liveries.
But look, it's one of those. I feel like it's one of those things where sometimes the guys can be quite hard on themselves, right? And by nature of our jobs, right, we're here to try and identify things we see in the runs. That's what you guys want us to do. But we couldn't do what they're doing, right? 99.9% of the population could not jump out there and jump in a car like this and do what they're doing, right? Jake Fastnage's car's 700-800 horsepower. Jordan Richards' car, who we're about to have a look at now, is probably 500-600 horsepower. There's a variety of stuff out there. So even just being able to get out there and almost have a crack at the entry of Manfeild is scary enough, because as you pointed out, it is the fastest entry on the calendar this year. So let's see what Mr. Richards in the Senate Nursing entry does. Senate Nursing, of course, is the family business for the Richards, mainly involved in the aged care bracket. So here we go with Mr. Richards. Now that's a different type of weight shift, wasn't it, Kenny, right at the start there? And that, I wonder if that's cranked them too far sideways too early. Need to be out further there.
Yeah, a little bit deeper through the outer line, heading into the approach to the first outside zone. But a great job here from the Senate Nursing. Silver.
Yeah, I like it. I think he's going to definitely throw down a much higher score than pretty much everyone else we saw. And you see the smoke velocity here, just turning those tyres.
That was a really clean run. I think on entry, that great weight shift.
Yeah.
Why you take the replay here? And here it is. Now it's just being careful not to use too much steering input on the weight shift there. But yeah, as you mentioned, firing into that inner line perhaps a little bit too early, but then transitioning through that outside zone quite well, getting out to outer zone 4 or outer clip 3, and then up to outside zone 4, 5, and then that last 6 inside clip down in the bottom of the skate bowl there.
Now, I'm right in thinking that at driver's briefing too, they effectively determined that the white line is in. If you're hitting the rumble strips, there is a deduction. That's correct. And again, three touches of the rumble strip is a 0. Is that how I understand?
I think the rumble strip is part of the new 3 strikes rule for cumulative penalties. So if you drop one wheel off 3 times during a run, that's going to get you a 0. Overuse of those ripple strips, and of course there's straight lines get you a 0 as well. So.
Alright, now we are live, of course, on Oversteer TV today, and the only way you can get involved in the chat related to Around 4 is by being a subscriber to Oversteer TV. And Kim's having some problems, and I think she's going to be frustrated because she takes her driving very seriously. Kenny, she's committed. I think that's just cooked itself. Did that just come out of gear?
Probably just having a tough day in the office really with the clutch dramas this morning, and I just heard a big kick of the clutch issues coming out of the first outside zone into the first inner apex, and we'll see it here. I heard a big click of the clutch on the microphones on the track, and just struggling in the car there. So perhaps a little bit of setup work to do before the battles tomorrow to try and get the thing humming and try get through the competition from the battle point of view, because as you know, it's not all about qualifying. Some people don't exactly qualify very well, but they come out in the battles and they battle through and they end up performing really well, and sometimes even hitting the podium.
Yeah, there's a couple of drivers like that who are really battle specialists. But here we go with Jake Fastnage again. Jake's got a lot of supporters out there, and there'll be a lot of love coming through, I would assume, Kenny, in the chat boxes, as there always is for Jake. I've called Jake through the years of his development through the MSC Challenge, and it's great to see him out here in what is, I mean, really that's a pro car with a 235 bolted onto it. It's a more than 800 horsepower capable machine, and Jake is capable of solid driving when he is on form, and again, pretty solid there from Jakey, and he will bank that run, and I'd say that will quite nicely catapult him up the score sheet as we see. But Jordan Richards went to number 1, Kenny. Jordan Richards won with an 89, jumps over Troy Brown 85-2, and then Caleb Sheehan with an 83. Jake's score hasn't come through yet, so
apparently P4 with an 82.4 for his first run, but I think that was a lot cleaner on his second run there. Just getting nice, smooth and consistent out to the runs, and it looks like we've got some action down in the pits there with Keskate.
Hey guys, we are with Kim Thorley, one of the first rounds for D1NZ Pro Sport. How are your nerves going into that?
They're not too bad. I was pretty comfortable in practice, but then obviously as soon as everybody stops and watches the field, it's just like it's all on. I'm shaking.
Yeah. High adrenaline sport, that's what happens. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're still part of the show tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're going to be ready?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm here to have fun.
Cool, awesome. Thanks, guys.
What a fantastic attitude from Mrs. Thorley. Great job there from Kesko Nagashima, stepping into our broadcast team for the weekend as our pit lane reporter. So he'll be bringing you all the action as it happens live from pit lane. Kim Thorley, of course, used to be Kesko's neighbour, as we heard referenced in the last round there, Kenny. All right, Johnny Burns, Max ECU sponsored S14. Now, he had a problem, didn't he? The first run, Kenny, so I think he got some, yeah, he got the ghost points as well.
Just preliminarily, I think Jake Fastnage's second run must have been a penalty that I didn't quite catch because it was only a 79.6, so he's been marked down heavily for something there as we take a look at this next run here for Johnny Burns. The Max ECU S14.
Johnny's he's from Wellington based. Used to have the green and black. So I think it was. He's going to bank a better score this time, but I didn't keep it on the track. Every time I say that, they can fire enough, of course. Alright, so again, welcome to D1NZ round number 4 here at the mighty Manfeild in the Manawatū as we take a look at the replay of Chris Burns.
Johnny.
Oh, sorry, Johnny Burns. Where did I get Chris? I was thinking about Chris Mildove as well, who's also in this class, who's also out of Wellington. So my apologies there. Every now and then my seniority gets the better of me. Now there is a wheel off there, so there will be a deduction there. Now it's a minor, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
that was a minor deduction. Dancing with the outer zone there. Outer zone 4 towards the end of the track.
Yeah. Now I do want to know what happened there with Jake Fastnage, because I didn't really see anything that was. Yeah.
It might not have. It was fast and fluid, but I think there were a few moments there where I felt like he perhaps didn't dial in enough angle.
Right.
But there might have also been an actual penalty, a heavier penalty that I missed there.
All right, let's have a look at what Jordan Richards' approach this time is, because we saw the big weight transfer flick the first time around, and it was almost like it was a bit too much. Definitely less this time, right? More conservative approach. It's allowed him to stay wide, and now he's tucking down the track. He'll fill up the outer zone. He'll go through the inside there. He gets both wheels across, gets out to the outside there. This is looking really nice and smooth now for Jordan Richards. Gets out to the outside of the track there. Outer. Oh, right out to the outside of the track. And Jordan Richards looking on here. Oh, what have I done? Three-wheeled it. I want to see that camera shot. I want to see that camera shot. How far off did he get?
Yeah, how far off? When you actually go down and walk that track, there's so much camber down there, and that's why I call it the skate bowl, because there's only a couple of different lines that you can work with to try and get the car to get down to that last apex, and it's really hard to actually slow that car speed up, but then also get the car back humming again out of that apex and then try to fire out to the finish line.
Right, so we'll take a look at Tyler Knowles' first run, and then we'll bring you some score updates, because I'm sure you're all eager to know how drivers are faring so far. Tyler Knowles with a wheel drop there and a solid hit of the rumble strip. And what I can tell you, if you haven't driven here before at Manfeild, is those ripple strips here are very aggressive. You certainly feel it as you go over it with a car going in a normal direction, let alone sideways with a 235 tyre on an 18-inch rim. So I think Tyler Knowles will have felt that one. It will have given him a little bit of a shake-up. As we take a look at the replay, just as we go through here, I think we will see a wheel go off the edge there for Tyler Knowles. Oh, we're straight into Chris Mildove as well. So little bit of rapid fire release going on here, Kenny. Again, so at the moment we do have Jordan Richards leading. Tyler Knowles is in second, but he hasn't had any adjustments come through. Troy Brown's 3, Caleb Sheehan 4, Jake Fastnage 5 with an 82.4, Johnny Burns in 6 with an 81.8, and then we have ghost points for Kim, Zalia and Jay. Chris Meldub at Horizon Tyres R32 of Otaki Kapiti Coast. And he is blazing. We've seen Chris Meldub up here doing some recce laps. And why is it every time I say something nice about someone they fall off the track, Eddie?
Well, it's always just about that end part of the section, because that's probably the hardest part to get right here at Manfeild. You come off like, you know, cruising through most of the track. You've got upwards of 160 to 180 kilometres an hour entry speed. You're then cruising through the rest of the section around 130 to 150 kilometres an hour. Fun fact for you, the Pro Championship guys are going to be going through this midsection of the circuit just as fast as GT race cars do in full race trim. So it's actually, super, super crazy to watch. And being in the car I've been for a few hot laps at Manfeild, and it's just crazy, just the undulation, the flow of it. And then also you've got to throw in what the judges are looking for as well. And quite often they throw in, you know, round to round, event to event, they throw in different nifty little things with their line choice, where they position the clips, and what they try and ask of the drivers. Because as a national championship, we try and challenge these guys to push harder, go harder, and try and get the car where the judges want, and really challenge the guys and girls out there to try and do better.
All right, here we go with Cameron Omblevray for the first time today in the 235 development class. Cam Omblevray, one of the scholarship winners, and that is a wild attack at that corner, and he stayed in the gas, but then it's choked up and he's got out of it. So up until then it was 1,000,000 points, right? It was a million out of 100, but then Cam Omblevray has had all sorts of problems. What I can tell you though is Cam will still be smiling. Like for Cam Omblevray, Cam Omblevray is just happy to be here, right? He has put absolutely everything into that campaign. They're a real motorsport family. Mum's got an 8-second car, Dad's got a 9-second car. Amelia from the family's got a junior dragster, which I think they're going to have here tomorrow. So real petrol head family. Great to see them out there. And I spoke to Cam earlier, and I said, how you feeling, mate? He said, I'm always good, right? He just said, why be anything else? I'm here chasing my dreams. I'm drifting. I'm doing what I enjoy, and that's the right attitude to have.
Yeah, it's a great attitude to come to the track with, and certainly throwing down in the V8-powered C33 Laurel. Jordan Richards currently top of the sheet, so he did the big 3-wheel in the Senate Nursing Sylvia.
Yes.
So despite that wheel drop, he still scored quite high, because as we mentioned, that run was so good up until that point. Set an 88.4, top of the sheets at the moment. Tyler Knowles in P2, Troy Brown in P3.
All right, so we're solid so far as we take a look at Tyler Knowles, teammate to current series leader Curtis Lilly in the Carders, your building partner S14. Tyler Knowles has competed in MSC in recent years and is now here with that familiar sound, Kenny. I sometimes call it the Mercury outboard in a 44-gallon drum, the SR20. The motor made famous, of course, by the legendary OG Gary the Goat Gaz Wider. Won many a championship, including a number of overnight rebuilds here at Manfeild by Tony and Gaz and the team. As we take a look at Tyler Knowles again.
I always felt like Gaz always had a little bit more unique sound that came out of the later versions of the SR that they built in that team.
Yeah. Alrighty, so hopefully you're enjoying the show so far. If you're out there in live stream land, as always, keep the chat positive and keep it entertaining. We don't mind you having opinions, but there is no need for anything to get personal or nasty, because otherwise we just have to start shutting things down, and that's never fun. We want you guys to play along and be our third commentator, but we do need things to remain civil at all times. So again, respect the drivers if you are part of the Oversteer TV chat. And enjoy the show here. This is, of course, the 235 development series, and the drivers finding their way in the sport. One of the interesting facts this year, of course, is that we have not yet had anyone win more than a single round. So entirely possible this year we could have someone win a title perhaps without even winning an event. Anyway, here we go with Chris Milder of Horizon Tyres R32. This used to be Chris's road car, and he's converted it for competition drift spec. Good to see Chris out there after a couple of years away. I think off the top of my head, Kenny, I wasn't here last year, and you were doing a slightly different job. So maybe we'll ask Tony G later.
It's certainly been a bit different being back in the commentary seat after quite a few years, and the level of driving and the nature of the judging has changed as well. We've got a new competition format this year, which has been a learning curve for everyone down the lane. And certainly I'm getting used to seeing a whole bunch of new names and drivers coming through the ranks as well.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the GT radial replay for Chris Mildove as he banks run number 2. Now for this year, of course, the drivers run in batches of 5 or 6 cars, and they do concurrent runs to try and make sure that the conditions are fair and equal for all. We have seen a couple of competitions already this year where we have seen rain partway through, which has been certainly interesting. Cam Omlivray sitting on the Link ECU start line there. I think, is it the Link ECU? Is it the start line or the start box? Kenny, it's
start box.
Start box, and then of course is the those are the legendary calves of the legendary Launch Master Willie, who controls everything start line related here at D1NZ, the National Drifting Championship. Cameron Omblivray out of the Wellington region, repping the 04 glass group on the side of that car, along with I believe it's Burke's Tyres, his local tyre suppliers. LS underneath the bonnet with a big old turbo GT40 strapped to the side. Cam Omblivray, he has looked very fast, Kenny. It doesn't look like it's an easy car to control, though. It seems very on and off. I don't know if it's the power delivery maybe in the way that this car makes its speed, but it seems like Cam has to get out of it. It reminds me a lot of, remember back in the day we had a couple of big Ford and Chev motors where they were such long pedal strokes, right? The best example of it, throttle modulation is always Fangadan, right? You can hear Fangadan just dancing across pedals. So it's Cameron Omblivray, GT radial replay, cranking out to angle there, not quite getting out to where he needs to try and unseat Jordan Richards, who is leading the way so far, but good enough to bank a score. So remembering that with the qualifying brackets, we do go in reverse order. So the drivers you see first are always either the newest to the series or those who haven't done any rounds, right? So what tends to happen is you do sort of see the pattern so far this season, Kenny's been, you see the 60s, the 70s, the 80s early in competition, and then as you get to the more experienced end of the field, you start seeing the 85, 90, 95 type runs. So certainly nothing to be ashamed of for any of these drivers. They are out there and doing it, and we're all just sitting here in chairs adding our thoughts over a cold beverage and some chips. Kevin Ryan out of the Auckland region. Kevin Ryan had his, I think his first battle win, I want to say, at Mount Smart, which was it was one of those small successes that you celebrate as a team. Kevin Ryan, sponsored, of course, by Bold Signage and Graphics, who are, of course, our sponsor for Q1. Now, what's happened here? Is there something? Is it just a cable tie waving around? I thought maybe there was some fluid coming out the bottom, but Kenny, Kevin Ryan's had a lot of challenges with this car. I don't think it's run in qualifying properly yet this year. I feel like I don't think he's managed to actually have a consistent qualifying yet. So yeah, bold on the bold on the front there. Bold Signage and Graphics sponsoring Q1 for D1NZ for both Pro and Pro Sport this weekend. So thank you to Greg and the team up there in Auckland. So that's a 0. So that's a ghost run there, Kenny. 0, 0, 0. Well, it effectively becomes a 1, right? You get a 1 for leaving the line. And I will run you through the points as they stand at the moment. So it is Jordan Richards in 1 on 88.4. Then Tyler Knowles, 86.2. Cameron Omblivray in 3rd, 85.6. Then we have Chris Mildove up to 4, 85.6. Troy Brown, Caleb Sheehan, Jake Fastnage, Johnny Burns, and then we have the ghost points. So Luke Chappell, say a 12 a.m. drift, the team named after their habit of being awake till very early hours of the morning, prepping the car before each and every drift event. Kenny, isn't that all of us?
Yeah, I think that's a wider motorsport thing as well.
Oh, it's fun, isn't it? It's fun.
Oh, just dialing in too much lock there and rotating round. Not quite getting the drive out of the corner that he wanted.
again, welcome into the broadcast for the afternoon. You are watching the D1NZ National Drifting Championship. This is the Pro Sport Series. Remembering we qualify in reverse order, so we watch basically the drivers who either haven't done competition rounds or are relatively low down the points table first of all, and then we move up to those who are leading on points, and everyone does 2 consecutive runs in brackets of 5. Now, Kenny, you talked about earlier, Isaac Aldridge is an example of one of those guys who, he's not always that strong as a qualifying driver, but he's a great battler, isn't he? In the Landmark Homes BMW, LS3 underneath the bonnet, regular competitor in the MSC Challenge series, and definitely a guy who likes to get up on the door. Now, when he does stick qualifying together though, he is good. He is good, and he is capable of more than dialing in a very high scoring run.
Aggression there. I was just about to say he sent it super wide on the on initiation, and then driving back around, I felt like he just had a lot of car pace there and showing a lot of aggression as he switched through. So
what's going on there? Is it shut down?
Might have shut down. He just restarted it. So
did anything happen here, Kenny, as our resident technical commentator and expert?
We're about to have a look here on the GT Radio replay. Isaac Aldridge, Landmark Homes BMW.
Was it just too aggressive? Did it just
I think
flick?
it was just a real aggressive flick, and you see the steering input there. And I think it just had a little bit too much car pace. Didn't quite slow the car down effectively enough as he switched through, and that just pushed him off.
Now keep in mind, of course, if you are a spectator, these guys are on a 235 wide radial tyre, so they are trying in some cases to tame pro-level horsepower with what effectively is a road tyre, like what you would find on your Commodore or your Falcon or something like that. It's a 235 45/18, pretty common tyre size. It's widely available. There's a variety of compounds available. There are no control tyres, Kenny. We haven't really talked about that yet. We haven't talked about the fact that there are control tyres in the Pro Series, so we'll get to that later as we take a look at the first of the RHP cars. This is Aidan Daly, affectionately known as AIDS.
He's had a fantastic performance at Go Media Stadium in Auckland for round 3. One of the newcomers, his first full championship debut,
yes,
I think,
it is,
in the Pro Sport Series. So great to see more young talent coming through the ranks, and certainly unafraid of the loud pedal.
No, he's. I spoke to Seaton before. Seaton Daly, one of my favourite people in Britain. Seaton Tours, the man behind the RHP drift team, who I still haven't quite managed to convince to compete at Bay Park. But you will see not 1, not 2, not 3, but there are 5 RHP cars in competition, and that is a huge financial.
That was a really good run there from Aidan Daly. You were just mentioning about pro-level runs being extracted from a 235 tyre. Well, that was a great example of it. Aidan Daly in the RHP S14, filling that first outside zone, cutting down into the first inner, out to the outer clip 3. It's just a clip. Then outside zone 4, fills that zone, switches on through, doesn't use too much of the curbing.
It's nice, isn't it? It's just very smooth and tidy, hit all the right marks.
Yep. So he was... The thing we're going to find, and it can be just deceiving from that last camera angle, is the last inner apex and getting that right. And I feel like sometimes some of the cars do better runs, or some of the drivers do better runs when they sacrifice that last apex a little bit and not try and cut down too far too early and get it wrong. Sometimes it's better to just leave it up on the camber and just flow it out.
Yeah.
Leave the door open for the chase car tomorrow during the battles and to slot in there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, once you fire off that, it's such a hard transition to do, what the judges are asking for. Coming off that second to last outside zone and then firing onto the next one, there's so much car speed, and it's so hard to actually just slow the car up just enough into that camber and then cut down into that last apex.
Well, what we haven't talked about right either is that we're in the middle of the North Island, so this is a completely foreign track to most of these guys. They would drive here once a year for this event. For 90% of the field, apart from the local boys, Jay Broughton, Troy Brown, and maybe when you get to pro, you'll have someone like Sean Pottrolls who might be here slightly more often. But most of these guys, again, this is a development series. They haven't driven here before. For a lot of them, the speed alone is going to be quite challenging because They've come off driving at Hampton Downs, they've come off driving Mary Mary Drift Park, they've come from the Concrete Crucible at Mount Smart. So that's 110k an hour entry, right? Here they're 140, 150, and they're trying to modulate and manage a car on a 235 wide radial tyre with quite often 500 plus horsepower. And let's be honest, there's no pro race teams in the pits here. It's mums, it's dads, it's brothers, it's uncles. They're doing what they can, but there's no setup book for these cars, right? They just each driver,
especially at the lower ranks. As you start building up a bit more confidence, it's also important to get more of that shared. There's a lot of shared knowledge in the pits. It's one of the few motorsports where teams are actually happy to share what pressures they're going to run, what diff ratio suits their car here at this particular track, what spring rates they're going to choose to run. So
I want to see what Isaac Aldridge does this time. Isaac Aldridge has a habit of being quite grumpy after he's made a mistake, so we'll either see
he's gone wide again.
He's dropped a tyre off the outside here. So this is Isaac
flirting with that outside edge, which actually sets him up badly for the first outside zone, but there's still the rest of the circuit to get through. How does he manage these last zones?
Why is it that car's bouncing, isn't it? It almost looks like one of those tyre pressures is almost off or something.
There's a little bit of handbrake through the midsection, or mid part of the skate bowl.
So it's not bad. So apart from the initial entry where he's very wide and he grabbed a bit of outside real estate there and left a track off the edge there.
Yeah, so he's followed up his second lap with a super wide, and it's almost just too wide too early. But
was that what we saw from? That was what we saw from Jordan Richards earlier too, wasn't it? Yeah, that big wide line that then they run so far around it makes it almost like they're got to get back over there. And then it's almost like they start to panic. Now, Aidan Daly is in position 1 at the moment with 91.4. Aidan Daly is P1 at the moment with 91.4. Let's see what the likeable young man from Tauron can do. The RHP LS powered S14, Aidan Daly. He looks like he's on, Kenny. Here comes another run from the young man. There's the Activero again, the boot not being done up properly, but he is staying in it as Aidan Daly. He is looking fast, he's looking flowing. Look at Aidan Daly, he looks really controlled behind the wheel. He's on the gas nicely, he's getting out there, gets out, right to the outside, flirts with that outside edge there, and then he drops it back down to the inside. Keep it on the track, Aidan, keep it on the track. There it is, Aidan Daly. That was smooth.
Almost lifting a wheel at the end of the section there and just flirting with those outside white lines in the ripple strip. We'll take a look at the GT radial replay. Great job, nice and wide. A few steering inputs there, dialing the car in. You'll see the Activero of the boot lid flying up. One of the pit crew's going to get a slap on the wrist when he gets back into the pit box.
We'll blame his mum, Tash. That's Tash's job.
There he was there, just that right rear, just dancing with the outside line off the outside zone 4.
Just cranked the angle out, he got to the inner and he just wound it back onto lock. You can see the benefit, I think, of Aidan's part of a bigger team, so he's able to drive with Clayton, with Sam West, with Kurt Blackie on a regular basis, and you can see how that just benefits him as a developing driver, right? So there we are. There is the qualifying as locked in so far. So that is not Aidan's second score. That was his first one. And then 94.2. 94.2 for Daly. We haven't had any deductions yet, but 94.2 for Daly at the moment. And he has set the benchmark, Kenny. We told you on the broadcast that we thought things would get spicy, as you would love to say, as I smack myself in the head smack my own headset, as we take a look at Sam Rowson, the best moustache, they reckon, in pro sport. In fact, in all of D1NZ, Sam Rowson, another of these throwback Laurels, channeling the big body energy, the big shiny. Well, look at the lock from Rowson. Kenny Ruddle, we're getting aggressive now here, and we're getting smoky, we're getting fast here as the Pro Sport boys come out to play, and we are moving through the field now. Now we're getting to the drivers who've done a few more laps. Now we're getting to the drivers who've got a little bit more speed, a little bit more control, a little bit more finesse, and Rowson throws down.
So Rowson just answers back on Aidan Daly. I mean, Aidan Daly to the top of the sheet with a 94.2. Jordan Richards in second. This Laurel just really putting down some big swinging transitions, which is the nature of the big four-door Nissans. And just a really good, smooth and aggressive run here from Sam Rowson.
All right.
He'll be stoked with that. And just look at the way the car settles through the transitions as well. The car looks really good. It looks really balanced. It's all all down to that throttle input. Not too many steering inputs there, and what a great lap there from Sam Rowson.
Just spent tyre, right? Just spent. Now, right, watch this guy. Ryan Parry, he was a qualifying benchmark at Mount Smart. This guy is good. He can drive. He knows how to set up a car. He's done a lot of laps. He's, I think, from Rotorua, so it's not such a hike for him to get down here. I know he's done a few of the local car club drift days, so let's take a look at what Parry can do. Rowson to P2 at the moment provisionally, and 93.5 without deductions coming through yet. So here we go with Ryan Parry, 777 S14 on the limit. Bang, bang, bang. There he is, Kenny with plenty of right foot there. Tree care on the side of the car with the Samurai, is it? Up the door, Ryan Parry flirts with the outside. That white line is in. The white line is in, and here he goes, dipping back down the inside of the track. Gives a little kick to get it going again, but Ryan Parry throws down Kenny. Now we're getting exciting.
It was a spicy run, and we're starting to see some more spicy runs as we get through the batches of the Pro Sport guys. Again, nice and wide, but not too wide.
I wonder, well, look, so these guys have also
flowing through the first two zones.
Yeah, the guys have had the benefit of being able to watch the first few runs too, right? So they've got a bit of an idea too of any changes maybe that they might have seen out there on the track.
A few dabs of a couple of dabs, short dabs of the handbrake there to get down and adjust onto that in an apex, but a great job nonetheless by Ryan Parry, who sets a 90 in P3. So Daly, Rowson, Parry, a 90.3. Jordan Richards in P4. Tyler Knowles round out your top 5.
Yeah, it is Aiden Daly though, 94.2. Aiden Daly, 94.2 is your benchmark for RHP. As we take a look at 15, he's now 15. He's now 15. His mother did point this out to me. He's now 15 years old. Riley McEwen in the four-wheel drive warehouse. This is the 13B car with 400 horsepower as opposed to the 20B car, which is 700 horsepower. Riley McEwen is a motorsport junkie, regularly found doing laps in whatever he can. He's been picking up some checkered flags behind the wheel of his mini stock, and he was here a couple of weeks ago for the Impulsive Rotary only day, getting his laps dialed in, and that looks smooth, Kenny. Doesn't have the volume of tyre smoke that we had out of Rowson, out of Daly, out of a couple of the others, but it was just really nice and controlled and flowing. So
it's a great example of powers and everything, right? It can be coming down to technique, driving style, power delivery. Of course, the driving with the rotary, the 13B turbo, completely different driving style. And I think these guys potentially run a factory rear end as well, so they're limited to a single ratio effectively to try and attack the circuit. So really, the only things they can adjust are a few dampeners and tyre, comes down to tyre pressures and the right foot.
What's the only thing you can adjust in the car? The thing between the steering wheel and the seat. All right, here we go. Now this guy is one to watch. Blake Miles Motorsport. He has been a qualifying standout in all 3 rounds so far. He said to me earlier they've had car problems. He's been quite frankly quite annoyed when it's come to battles, but in qualifying this guy has been one of the real standouts. So let's see what Blake Miles does. We know this car is fast, we know it's smooth, it's going to be very similar in the way it makes its kind of I guess makes its impact to what Jordan Richards did. It's the S15 chassis. There it is, cranks it out to lock, nice and wide, gets on the gas, hammers the gas, blanketing the track with tyre smoke, fills up that zone nicely, gets down to the inside, a couple of metres off the inside. Might have been a little bit shallow on the outer there, Kenny, and he's come up short there compared to those big high scores we saw earlier. So this was very safe from Blake Miles. Now, I'm not saying that in a derogatory manner. I just know Blake Miles is capable of getting right out to those zones, right? I would have thought he would have been right out there where we saw Jordan, where we saw Aiden, because that's where he's tended to be. So this feels safe.
That's pretty much pro-level driving though, right? Especially when you get to the pointy end of the series points race for this class, because those guys are effectively driving at pro level, but on a 235 tyre. And that just goes to show the development and the skill level of these guys coming through the class. But as you mentioned, sometimes it comes down to technique and strategy. A little bit of strategy comes into qualifying as well. Do you go out and set a conservative run, watch 3 or 4 of these other guys, and then go out in your batch and try to throw down in the second pass?
Well, look, there is a school of thought that says with Pro Sport being a top 32 and only having 25 cars, right, you know that you're going to be in battle, so you don't have to destroy your car on day one, because you can't win a competition in qualifying, right? You can go out and win the internet and it looks cool and whatever else, but you cannot win the competition in qualifying. Yes, you can get some good points, 14 points for Q1, but here is Sam the Mo Rowson out for lap number 2, and Rowson throws down hard. Yeah, as I was sort of partway through saying there, Kenny, as we watched the track just disappear in a haze of Laurel-induced smoke, Sam the Mo Rowson, this is safer from Rowson again. So he hasn't got out to the outer limits of the track. I wonder maybe if he's on comms and his guys have just said, look, you've got a good score in the bank. You can play it safe this time. You don't need to do anything silly. Because the last thing you want to do is fall off the track as well and bend an arm or something. Then you're going to be fighting the car that's just not going to feel 100% the rest of the weekend. So Rowson was already sitting on a 93.5, which puts him in 3 at the moment. And Blake Miles provisionally to 1 now with a 95.4. So that's interesting, Kenny. So we didn't think he got as far out. The judges obviously seeing it slightly differently to us. So 95.4 for Blake Miles, then 94.2 Aidan Daly, 93.5 Sam Rowson, and 90.8 for Riley McEwen into the top 4. So the tree getting a shake-up each and every time we see a new batch of drivers coming out. Again, welcome to the D1NZ National Drifting Championship. This is round number 4. My name is Warren Sear, with me Kenny Ruddle, technical commentator. We are your tour guides for the weekend, along with Keisuke Nagashima joining us, 2024 Pro Sport Champion, and you're watching Ryan Parry for his second pass in the development class. Yeah, repeating that again, Blake Miles, 95.4, and he sets a new Q1. We're just waiting to see if any adjustments come through. We get a live feed to the box, and then sometimes things can come through. And we have, of course, got a DSO, Kenny, who does the DSO actually? This is a question as we watch Ryan Parry. Does the DSO play any role in qualifying?
Only if there was any inquiries in qualifying. Then have potential to develop into any protests. Traditionally speaking, we don't usually have protests in qualifying.
We have had them before, though, haven't we? We have had one before. It's probably a venue-specific thing where there is a limited visibility of a certain venue. So Ryan Parry banks score number 2. Parry was sitting in position number 5 with a 90.3. See if he improves on that one. But yeah, Blake Miles has gone to 1, and I haven't seen anything come through, so Blake Miles becomes number 1, Aidan Daly 2, Rowson to 3, Riley McEwen 4, Ryan Parry 5, Jordan Richards 6, Tyler Knowles 7, and Cam Omlivray in 8. Then we've got Chris Mildove, Troy Brown, Caleb Sheehan, Jake Fastnage, Johnny Burns, Isaac Aldridge, and Luke Chappell-Sayer. And then we've got ghost points for Kim Thorley, Zalia Mayer, Jay Broughton, and Kevin Ryan. Now, when we say ghost points, we mean that they have effectively aborted their run and been given a 1 for leaving the line. So they will be in battle tomorrow, but they will not improve their qualifying scores at all, having gone twice. We run in batches here in D1NZ for 2025, so you get 2 semi-consecutive runs within your group. Let's see what Riley McEwen can do here. Can he improve from 90.8? I can't lie, Kenny. I would love to. I'd actually love to see the young man qualifying position number 1. I think that'd be great for him as a up-and-coming motorsport. Now that's a nice wide line, but is he? Yeah, no, he got it back. Was he too far around though? Was it slow to the outer? We'll see how the judges view that one when they lock in their scores here. I wonder if maybe the judges. I might try and bring up the judges' notes. Maybe they have asked for the line to be slightly in, and while we were perceiving to be up on the white line is good. Having watched maybe Blake Miles, Aidan Daly, Sam Rowson, they weren't as deep into those zones, so I wonder if maybe the judges have brought it in that half a car length or something, and they're rewarding it because they just don't want you. They don't want you flirting with.
Yeah, well, it's about how you approach that first outside zone on the right-hand side, right? So, in the criteria for the for round 4, they're really looking to line up that the start of the ripple that marks that first outside zone on the right-hand side on approach. As they cut in onto the inner line, they kind of need to line that up with their front and then transition into that first zone. So we will chat to the judging team throughout the competition tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, we never really talk to the judges during qualifying, so we'll try and get there inside as much as we can tomorrow? Because it is one of the things we wanted to do. We just haven't been able to do it because they've been so busy with so many interesting things
Riley
going on.
McEwen, 96.6.
Riley McEwen to 196.6. Big achievement for the young man there with Blake Miles about to return serve though. So Miles was on 95 for McEwen at 96.6. Can Blake Miles unseat the young man? He's going to mount a fast attack here. Blazing smoke off the rear. Switches nice and early, fills up that outside zone, gets the wheels down to the inner there, fills up the outer through 3 out to 4 here. Kenny gets it out there. Same line as before where he was rewarded by the judges, same one through. Oh, now that's a lot further up the track than he was the first time around. So that's changed the line again. So this will be really interesting. But I think we just saw the universal arm out the window, didn't he? Gave a little tap on the roof. He's happy with the car. Crew Chief Bailey and the boys for Miles Motorsport seem to have given Blake Miles a car that he's happy with. And there it is up on the screen. Riley McEwen 96.6 at the moment with Blake Miles 95.4. But caveat on that one, Blake Miles has just run and that score has not locked in yet. So Riley McEwen, Blake Miles, Aidan Daly, Sam Rouse and Ryan Perry, Jordan Richards, Tyler Knowles and Cam Omblivray are your top 8. And we go down to Mr. Nagashima in pit lane with 15-year-old Riley McEwen.
We're here with Riley. Obviously, a couple good runs there, mate. How'd you feel on the track?
Yeah, it felt good. Car held up pretty good. Yeah, I'm real happy with the 96.
So, Blake just got a 97 from what I heard in my ear, but 96, mate, that's an amazing amount of points. Like, you are the winner of the sponsorship or the proposed, Pro Sports Scholarship, right? How's that going for you this season?
Yeah, it's going good. Definitely helping a lot with all the sponsors and money. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Hold on, mate. How's it to drive the rotary compared to anything else? Have you driven anything else?
I used to drive an RB. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Got to go to the rotary.
Good on you, mate. Well done. Have fun tomorrow.
All right. Well done there, Mr. Nagashima down in pit lane. I think you're going to try and track down Blake Miles now, who I believe I heard you just say he got a 97, which puts him up to the top of the qualifying tree. And you got Mr. Miles there with you.
All right, we're here with Blake Miles. You've just got a 97, mate. How was that?
Oh, it's pretty cool. It's our first time at this track, so pretty cool to get some good scores and hopefully keep the momentum up with tomorrow.
You're obviously feeling comfortable behind the wheel?
Yeah, feeling comfortable with these last few laps. Struggling a little bit with the speed on that first corner at the start of the day, but we're finding our groove and getting better as we go.
How good's Pro Sport? How's the season been for you?
Oh, it's awesome. Just so happy to be here. Everyone loves to help out. It's always a good vibe, so much fun. So I'm really enjoying it.
Good on you, mate. Well done.
Cheers.
Have fun tomorrow.
All right, so I think we might be into our...
Interesting, Blake Miles saying there, his first time at the track, so he's driving already a pro line that just looks so seasoned, like he's been here before, so just goes to show the talent that's coming through the ranks here. Blake Miles currently P1 with a 97.7, ahead of Riley McEwen, of course, our scholarship winner for the season.
All right, so it's Friday afternoon here in New Zealand, so we're just showing a little crowd shot there. So today's entry is by way of a donation of a non-perishable food item to Manchester House. So thank you to those of you who have brought along a donation item today here to D1NZ round number 4. This is qualifying day here at mighty Manfeild. In fantastic field. I'm just going to try and come up with superlatives for Manfeild and Feilding. So if you have any suggestions, then play along, please, because I loved Concrete Crucible last round. That was great. I'd never heard the word crucible used before, and I think it's fantastic. But we are now moving, Kenny, to the very serious end. This is all of our championship top 6. So Wu is 6. So Jason Wu, the Wuro fighter, in the E92 BMW, he is in position 6. Then we have Dan Edwards, he's in 5. Then we have Guy Maxwell, he's 4. Corbin Wilson's 3. Then we'll see Dean Young, and then we'll see series leader Curtis Lilly. So these are the guys who, amongst these 3, are the 3 round winners so far: Corbin Wilson, Guy Maxwell, and Curtis Lilly. and then Dan Edwards, who's been there or thereabouts every round, along with Jason Wu. So I would say that Blake Miles' qualifying score, I think, will come under threat here, because Jason's car certainly likes this track. We know Dan Edwards' car likes this track, and we know Dean Young will have that car hussing. So we also know Dean Young's fans take over our chat box every time we do this. So hello to the Young Drift team out there. As we take a look at Jason Wu. Now, he is without his regular crew chief this weekend in Sky Zhao, who is over in Japan at Ibisu doing some driving. Jason Wu behind the wheel of the what we call the Wuro fighter. His last name is Jason Wu. He is a resident of Auckland, and he is a living embodiment of the Kiwi dream, having come to New Zealand at the age of 15, not speaking a single word of English, Kenny, and being self-taught all the way through school to being a successful business owner and now chasing his drift dreams. So how's that for a little success story, right? Come from another country, make your way here in little old New Zealand, and get out here and blaze some long white clouds in the land of the long white cloud. How do you like that one? There we go.
Probably picked up a fair bit of Kiwi slang too.
He definitely knows a few slang words. I've had the pleasure of interviewing Jason a number of times through the MSC Challenge, which of course he did receive a Formula D Pro 2 license from this year. So congratulations to Jason, and good to see him out there on form. And where did he drop in? Did that come through yet? No. Dan Edwards. Now I do need to apologise. Dan Edwards specifically told me that I had to mention his dog on the broadcast, because apparently he was very upset that I didn't mention his name last time. So my apologies to Dan Edwards and Dan Edwards' dog, but we did not mention him last time. So here we go with the Core Civil sponsored machine. Dan Edwards out of Auckland, and he was runner-up last year, wasn't he, in Pro Sport to Keisuke? Was he third? It's definitely top three, right? It came down to that final round at Bay Park, and Keisuke Nagashima, of course, successful in grabbing the title. He is here with us as part of the broadcast team this weekend as we take a look at the Core Civil machine of Daniel Edwards, and look at that smoke blazing from Edwards, and this looks fast. I think there was definitely a different camera shot used there, I think, so that changed the perception from the very high drone to what we just saw. But yeah, Edwards looking real fast and nice and smooth.
Yeah, I was just taking a look at that through the first half of the lap. Just the way the car setup was, it almost appeared to be a little bit bouncy at the front, or quite a bit responsive with the throttle feathering. Dan Edwards.
So
Big Wang Gang is back, by the way.
Big Wang Gang.
Bring it back.
Mr. Choice Files, Guy Maxwell. No doubt the Oversteer TV chat box will be going wild right now with Guy Maxwell and Guy Maxwell's millions and millions of Rocks fans. Millions and millions of Guy's fans. If you can smell what Guy Maxwell is cooking, I don't know. I'm just going to throw stuff in there.
Is he going to live life at 110% or 113%?
113%. More importantly, is he going to break Steph's car again? Is always the question. Guy Maxwell aggressive there. I do like how that livery looks different from side to side as it transitions. You see the pink and you see the yellow. It makes quite a striking contrast, and that smoke coming off the rear of those tyres. Guy Maxwell nicely to angle there, filled that up really well. Guy Maxwell blazing. Now he drops off the edge there. Now
did he just drop the tyre? I didn't quite catch that on the camera there, but
we didn't see Jordan Richards get marked down for that though, did we? When he went up,
just how far over was it? GT Radio replay here for Guy Maxwell, The Choice Files S13. Do check out his YouTube channel, The Choice Files, and watch all the behind-the-scenes action from his drifting career so far, and all the antics that he's been getting up to with the LZ Fest as well, Adam LZ. Of course, LZ Fest coming to New Zealand as well, not long after Bay Park, but what a great run there by Guy Maxwell and The Choice Files S13.
You should come and listen to Kenny and I at Bay Park first, though. Before you go to LZ Fest, come to Bay Park and just create the ultimate drift week. Because, of course, you can take a few days off, right? And you can have just that whole big, long week. If you take Easter and then take Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then come to Bay Park, come drifting with us and watch I believe Brendan White wants to try and drive the monster truck, doesn't he, to do
Oh, so he's doing the backflip.
He's doing the backflip? Yeah,
Right.
I did. Yeah,
Okay.
yes. So Brendan White. So you heard it here first. Breaking news: Brendan White will be driving the monster truck, doing the backflip. As always, we are just commentators, so anything you do, say, or hear, take it as a grain of salt. We're just adding some flavour to proceedings as we watch the Drift Fox. Corbin Wilson, stop laughing, Kenny. You're enjoying the idea of Brendan being upside down in the monster truck a little bit too much, as Corbin Wilson is wide out there. Now, he produced the smoke plume way later than the cars in this bracket, so that's going to be interesting to see how the judges view that. He's smooth and he's flowing, and that's what we expect from Corbin, right? Because that's his style, right? He's very, very consistent. The easiest way I can explain it is Tony Gallagher, our style judge, is a speedway driver, right? And he said he always says he knows what smooth is flowing is fast, and that's very much the speedway ethos.
You can also pretty much see, I was just going to say, like, his speedway experience certainly shines through in his driving style, switching codes into drifting. Great job filling that first outside zone, and just a really fast flowing run here from Corbin Wilson. Of course, this is his first full season campaign in the D1NZ. And certainly doing a great job. He did have his event debut at Bay Park, I believe.
Yes, he did, because, I know that you guys were amazed at the time that he had an FD license already, having come in and absolutely dominated MSC Challenge.
Yeah, just further goes to show just how great the MSC Challenge is for developing new and up-and-coming drivers and feeding them in to further competition. As we take a look at the next car out on track now, it is qualifying for the Pro Sport 235 class.
Yeah, Dean Young, the smooth silver fox, and this is a man who look at that from Dean Young, Mr. Smooth himself, the smooth operator. Dean Young, a little bit of wheel work there, a little bit of correction, waiver in the front end, but it didn't upset the car too much. Dean Young on the gas, saw the car bite down and have another go, didn't get out as wide as something. Now he's come much shallower through the middle of the track than we've seen from the other drivers. Now Dean Young was so fast through there and carrying so much speed, he just couldn't really get out and fill out those zones, Kenny, and I think that will hurt him. It won't matter. Like Dean Young is clearly a standout in this class, right? Dean Young's probably one of the guys, when you look at the tree, you don't want to be battling Dean Young, because you know Dean Young is going to be on your door every time, and all you're going to be doing is looking over your shoulder, seeing that Watson haulage logo. But he just didn't see there, and then there. It almost like just choked up and stayed in the middle of the track. As we close out that replay and move to our current series leader, 30-year-old Curtis Lilly, KFL Construction from Auckland, his business, and Carter's your building partner on the side of his car. Now, I got to be honest, Curtis Lilly is somebody who's surprised me this year, Kenny. I've watched him in MSC, watched him develop as a driver. He was good, but he wasn't standing out. But this year, he's found his feet. Now, that was very late, and that wavered in the front end. That didn't want to go. That didn't want to rotate out. It was unsettled.
Yeah, really unsettled
unsettled.
in the front end. Now, he was battling steering dramas at the last round, I think from memory.
And if we can get a front-on
But it's saying that he ended up winning the event the next day. So perhaps there's just a few little niggly setup issues there that they will be working on tonight.
Well, Curtis Lilly's the car with the most notable camber, right, in the front of the car. The way he sets it.
So he took two stabs at it to really get the thing steered. So it could be quite a bit much rear grip than what he was expecting.
Yeah, so Curtis Lilly will be frustrated there with a ghost points of 1 as we take a look at Mr. Wu. And we are still looking at Blake Miles at the moment as the benchmark at 97.7 with Riley McEwen. Oh, Corbin Wilson up to 3. Corbin Wilson to 3, 95.2. Corbin Wilson to 3 with 95.2, the Drift Fox. So, again, Pro Sport 235 Development Series. So, maybe, Kenny, while you and I maybe take a harsh view from a speed perspective, I suppose it does need to be kept relative, right? So, Corbin has gone out and he hasn't notably deviated his speed the whole way through. So, there's no requirement that he must do 150k, for example, through the whole section. Mr. Wu flirting with the outside of the track there, living dangerously. Everybody was kung fu fighting on that one. And Mr. Wu got out wide, but Jason Wu keeps it on track, and he will bank a second score in the, that is a D-Spec Racing Cars built machine, built by Sky Zhao in the team. Okay, so again, repeating as we take a look at the GT Radio replay, it is Blake Miles still on top. from Riley McEwen, Corbin Wilson, Aidan Daly, Sam Rowson. Guy Maxwell drops into 6 with a 92.5. Dan Edwards to 791.2, and Ryan Parry 8, 90.3. Then we go Jordan Richards, Dean Young. See, Dean Young's been hit hard, Kenny, 87.6. Tyler Knowles, Cam Omlivray, Chris Mildove, Troy Brown, Caleb Sheehan, Jake Fastidge, Johnny Burns, Isaac Aldridge, and Luke Chappell. So we have 25 cars facing the starters. So all will go into battles, and the top 7 are going to get themselves a bye to the 16, which is very important for those in the championship hunt. Daniel Edwards, and hello to Chico. My apologies for missing you last time. So hello, Chico. My apologies. That's Pablo. Pablo is the name. Hello to Pablo. My apologies. Dan Edwards, DE Drift out of Auckland, course civil on the side, the 180SX. I feel, yeah, so that one's a late. We've seen a couple of guys really blazing hard, Kenny, as they come into the section, and others are kind of just coasted almost past that point. Am I being overly harsh and judgmental? I don't know.
Section here, and talk about being crucial. What is our job to be crucial and critical?
Yeah.
We'll take a look at the GT Radio replay there, because part of the job in commentary is to try and bridge the gap between what the judges are asking for, but what the drivers are doing out on track as well, and how that relates to their score. So sometimes it does sound like we're a bit harsh trying to pick apart the runs, but we're actively trying to judge the runs as we're commentating as well, to try and give you an idea of where the judges might be heading.
Yeah, look, look, if you want the hype and the fluff, right, that's what your friends, family, fans do for you, right? We're here to try and overlay a critical lens. Commentary by nature is comment, so we add our thoughts to things. Sometimes you'll agree with us, sometimes you won't. As you take a look at Mr. Guy Maxwell, 113% all day, every day for Guy, and the choice files, and the man behind bringing LZ Fest to New Zealand. Let's see how he goes here, looking to improve from position number 6. He is currently in 4th place on points in the championship order, and Guy Maxwell gets us underway, initiates nice and wide, plenty of smoke coming off the back there, big, and that's way, I think it's over aggressive, and it's choked him up, and it's forced the car to come, the front of the car's come back around. The judges will pick up on that, so Guy Maxwell probably a little bit too aggressive there, maybe instead of 113% should have been 100%. So
look at the smoke dialing on the angle, switch back at the end as well. That was probably the thing that's going to hurt him even more, because if you do that in the lead tomorrow, that will score you a penalty. So we take a look at the GT rated replay here. Lots of aggression from Guy Maxwell, doing a great job.
That's where it was there.
Plenty of aggression through that first zone, but it was essentially a backie through into scoring zone 2, or clip number 2. And then it was all recovery to try and settle the car down after that. Short handbrake dab to try and get up on the camber on that last outer zone, and then just baking it.
Yeah, backies win the internet, but they don't seem
so that might have been a bit of a fun run for Guy Maxwell, trying to throw down a spicy run for the fans and just have a little bit of a fun behind the wheel himself, with already 92.5 on the scoreboard from his first run.
He does run comms, right? So he knows he's into the 16, so he knows he doesn't have to do too much. Like, there's not going to be a whole lot more difference, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't think it's going to matter hugely with you one.
In the past, some guys fighting for a championship will go out in their first session of qualifying, they set their first lap, they're in the top 8, they actually park the car and don't even do their second run. Guy Maxwell, on the other hand, wanted to go out and set it.
Look, there was no tyre smoke at all from Corbin. That was just odd.
Different setup change, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, he will have comms in the car, right? So Guy's got comms, Corbin's. I think when you see the top sort of 5-6 guys, I'm pretty sure they've all got comms, and Corbin's happy with that. But yeah, just no notable tyre smoke through that first section. Watch this replay here, and it's just like there's just nothing.
The car actually dragged on him there, so he was actually struggling to get the thing steered. Just very slightly, you saw it from the drone shot, but then it started to come alive, and I do wonder if that was just temp drop off from the earlier run, or whether they've made a setup change, but I don't think they would have. He would have been out there and lined up on that first batch. The only realistic thing he could do is pull more pressure out of it.
Well, would it have responded better to more right-footed?
Unless he did pop back into the pit lane, but
all right, at the moment of the top 6, Dean Young is the only one who's outside the top 7 qualifiers, so he's the only one who's going to have to battle in the first round of the 32 at the moment. So Dean Young needs to improve from a score of 87.5. He is in position 11 at the moment, so that's very, very strange for Dean Young in terms of his qualifying, but he played it safe, I think, the first time, and here comes that big blazing smoky run from Young. Now, he didn't get out to the outer zones like we knew he needed to do the first time around. Let's see if he gets it up the track this time. No, he's missed it again.
He's missed it. He's well off outside zone 4. Phil's 5, but too much.
He's dirt dropped.
And dropped the wheel. So
This
not
is-
the cleanest run here from Dean Young.
I'm genuinely baffled because I haven't seen this from Dean Young before. That's an out of sorts qualifying for him. And I'm not saying that to be harsh. I'm just used to Dean being good, right? I'm used to him being, I'm used to Dean being solid. So we take a look at the GT radio replay, and it just looked like he'd really struggled to fill those outer zones there, out of 4 and out of 5. Before he dropped back down the track. So unfortunately there for Dean Young, maybe fighting a setup. So I think we are going to go down to Keske in pit lane. I'm not sure who he's got with him. Let's find out.
All right, we're with Corbin Wilson in the 350Z. How was your first one?
Yeah, felt good. Had a little bit of troubles in that second one though. Felt like the car was rolling over in the first sweeper, but that first run hopefully was enough to get through, maybe top 16.
Yep. I've just got it in my ear that you've come P3 after Riley, who's in P2, so the young gun's doing pretty well this round.
Yeah, no, it seems to be going good. Bit of car troubles earlier in the week, so hopefully we sorted those out, ready for tomorrow.
And so excited for battles?
Yeah, should be good.
Good luck, mate. Have fun.
Alright, here we go. Coming back with Curtis Lilly, the current points leader of the Pro Sport 235 Championship. This is the final qualifying pass, and then I'll give you a provisional order. So let's see how Curtis Lilly goes. He needs to improve from a score of... Oh, no, he's on a 1 at the moment. So Curtis Lilly on the outside looking in. Now, he will... No, massive problems again for Lilly. The steering just looks like it's not functional on him, and he has overshot the entry hugely, and that will be a big markdown from the judges. He cranks to angle now. He's ghosting out towards the outside of the track, fills up those zones nicely, but he has just caused himself all sorts of bother there by just not getting the car initiated early enough. Curtis Lilly potentially going to have to fight for his championship life from outside, looking in at the moment, looking at a top 32 battle at the moment. Now, I'm going to have a quick look at the scores very shortly, just as we take a look at the GT radio replay. But that was very, very interesting there from Curtis Lilly. So here comes the qualifying order, and it is going to be Blake Miles. Blake Miles qualifies in Q1 again, followed by 15-year-old Riley McEwen, then 16-year-old Clayton Daly, then Corbin Wilson, and then it is Aidan Daly. So all the youngsters coming through. So Blake Miles, Riley McEwen, Corbin Wilson, Aidan Daly, Sam Rowson, Guy Maxwell, Daniel Edwards, Ryan Parry, Jason Wu, Jordan Richards, Dean Young, 11, Tyler Knowles, Cam Omlivray, Chris Milder, Troy Brown, Caleb Sheehan, Jake Fasters, Johnny Burns, Isaac Aldridge, Luke Chappell-Sayer, and the rest get ghost points, as I believe we go down to Keske in the lane, and I think he's got Curtis Lilly with him, who may possibly be a little bit frustrated. Keske.
Yeah, I think, for a championship leader, there's a bit of nerves into play. So we'll see what Curtis has to say once it comes down pit lane. Yeah, we'll see how he feels. Curtis, mate, championship leader, those 2 runs, how'd you feel?
Yeah, just struggling to come to grips with the track. It's my first time driving this track, so just feeling my way out, and yeah, made a couple of mistakes out there, but I feel we'll keep growing, and still happy to be here. Thanks to my mum and dad for helping me get here. It's happy to be here.
Good on you, mate. I mean, are you going to do any setup changes for tomorrow? How are you feeling?
Probably not so much setup changes. It's more just the driver. I'm still growing. I'm still getting confidence with the track and how fast it is.
Copy that.
So
Mechanicals
I
on
keep
track.
asking the judges for feedback, and I just unfortunately wasn't able to implement what I had in my head out there for qualifying. So yeah, we'll keep practicing for tomorrow and try and come back stronger.
I mean, how's it feel to be championship leader at the moment? You've done a pretty good season so far.
Oh man, it's surreal. Honestly, I never think I could ever come into this series this year and be on the podiums, be winning rounds, and be the championship leader. It's like, man, I never expected to even get it through to the top 8. So to be where we are, I'm just making the most of it and having fun, and it's a weekend away with the boys.
100%, mate. Well done. We'll see you tomorrow. Have some fun. Cheers, mate.
Alrighty, so we've got a couple of mechanical laps going down now, just for safety reasons. So mechanical laps, of course, are allowed under most New Zealand rules, where we have cars that need to be checked for safety reasons. So those are the two JDM racing machines. One will be driven by Luke Fink, the other will be the JDM boss, and that is Mr. James Manawatū. And then we go straight into the local lad, the Hartley race-engined parts trader Lexus LCF of Jaron Olive Kroner. So again, congratulations to Blake Miles, qualifies in position number 1 again. Blake Miles qualifies position number 1, and thanks to Bold Signage, he wins $1,000 worth of product and services to apply to his race program. So combining that with his Mount Smart Q1, that means Blake Miles now has $2,000 of prize value with Bold Signage and Graphics. So thank you very much to Bold Sign Riders based in Auckland. Bold Signage and Graphics. Catch up with the team via social media if you have a concept in mind, and they'll try and help you out. And thank you so much to them for supporting qualifier number 1 for both Pro and Pro Sport this weekend. So we are just about to go into Pro qualifying. This will be the first pass for Jaron Olive Kroner. We have completed Pro Sport. These are now the 265 semi-slick shod cars. Jaron Olive Kroner now with the NA engine. And what I'm actually going to do is just let you listen to this thing sing, because it's amazing sounding with the NA engine underneath the bonnet. So let's just hear Jaron Olive Kroner apply some right foot to the Lexus parts trader machine. Top of my head, about 3 stock parts left in that car from a Lexus RCF, and absolutely everything else is custom, proudly put together by Jaron's father Kester and the team here at Olive Kroner Drift Motorsport, based here in Feilding. So that was a first look and listen at the parts trader Lexus of Jaron Olive Kroner, and it is him underway for his first qualifying pass return to D1NZ for the first time this season, as we take a look at Dan Caldwell for VIP Frame and Truss. Dan Caldwell all the way from the South Island, S15 with an LSX 427 underneath the bonnet. And since we're playing Listen to the Car Noises, let's turn this one up and listen to the supercharged Chevrolet sing. So I just wanted to illustrate for you there the difference in sounds between the NA Toyota and the supercharged Chevrolet underneath the bonnet of Dan Caldwell's right foot, the VIP Frames and Trusses man from Christchurch. Great to see him back here after doing rounds 1 and 2 and having round 3 off due to a local commitment down south. Great to have both Jaron and Dan back here. And then we go to Clayton Daly out of the RHP team, and he will be looking to emulate the form shown by younger brother Aiden, who bagged a 94.2. You got to believe that there's got to be a side bet within the RHP team in terms of who can bank the higher qualifying score. Everyone's been asked to do the same things between Pro and Pro Sport. What can Clayton Daly do? He's also got the LSX underneath the bonnet, 1,000 odd horsepower, 22 years of age. And he is out of the RHP team out of the Mount Maunganui region. Here we go with Clayton Daly. Here we go, Clayton Daly initiates into the zone. You can tell immediately that we are now in pro competition, just with the speed going up, the smoke going up, the loud going up, the style going up, and out to the outside of the track goes Clayton Daly, looking to fill up those zones nicely. You can see that car as it jumps on and off the gas, it sinks down, and the smoke just billows off those rear guards. Clayton Daly smoking out friendly Feilding, and great first pass there for Clayton Daly. Now, our judges, of course, for the weekend are Mac Kwok, Tony Gallagher, Tony G, and Ben Kai Bruin. Judges, in fact, up in the commentary, up in the race control area, while Kenny and I bring you the insights, facts, and figures from the commentary box. So we are in pro competition now. Pro Sport qualifying is done and dusted for the day, and it was Blake Miles getting the #1 qualifier result. We have got some results so far. We've got Jaron Olive Krona 86.4, Dan Caldwell 79.7. So Jaron Olive Krona 86.4 and Dan Caldwell, and then Clayton Daly 93.1. Clayton Daly 93.1. Johnny Latham. Now this one you want to listen to. This is the Toyota NASCAR motor. Since we're playing Audible Symphony, here we go with Johnny Latham. Beautiful sound, Kenny Ruddle. Toyota NASCAR power under the right foot of the likeable Johnny Latham from the South Island, the second of our South Island drivers, as we take a look at the GT radial replay of the Doherty-sponsored machine, blazing up those rear tyres.
Yeah, super aggressive through the start of the run. He was fighting the rear end of the car a little bit. A couple of little steering inputs there. Filling the outside zone 4, 5, and then down. So pretty good job through the rest of the run. There was a few steering inputs to start it off with, but great to have Johnny Latham back in the series. Of course, many years ago campaigned the LS V8 powered FDRX7.
Yes, the purple one. Before that he had something else before that, I think, too. Mr. Joyce, Jordan Joyce, the wet weather Taniwha. Now he got his first D1NZ win here at Manfeild too, didn't he, in pro, I think? I'm sure that's right. Somebody out there in live stream land will tell me by her message or whatever. I'm sure Jordan Joyce got his first win here at Manfeild. This is the NZKW S14 2JZ. Underneath the bonnet is, of course, known as the X-Con. Jordan Joyce behind the wheel, and he will apply plenty of right foot, because Jordan Joyce is a driver who has come into the sport and he's kind of learned it. Bonnet's come up. Somebody is going to be in trouble in the pit bay. Hopefully, is that fiberglass? Hopefully it holds on through the whole zone. Now it should be okay through here, but it's when it's going to go back the other way that it's going to become a problem. Is it going to twist and buckle and come up and shatter the windscreen? No, Jordan Joyce, no lift, no F's given at all. Jordan Joyce just stays in it, but then gets, I think, distracted by that then. It's got to be just off-putting, right? Flat, yeah.
There and almost nearly straight line that last apex. And it's a bit of a recovery effort at the end there by the NZKW S14 of Jordan Joyce. Take a look at the GT radial replay, and you'll see here the bonnet lifting up, and of course, under the regulations, let's hypothetically, if this happened during the battle, unlike other series around the world, I'm not sure if we do have the loose bodywork ruling. I'll have to double check that, but certainly it could cause an effect to the chase car.
Yeah, well, you can't have anything that's distracting or detrimental to your opponent, right? I think with a bonnet, because it's in front of you, unless it came up and directly, I mean, it would be more cause and effect. It would be more putting off the driver themselves, and they would deviate from the lead run line, I think, rather than the actual bodywork affecting the chase car, as opposed to a loose rear bumper, which will certainly have an impact on a chase car. Now, Jaron Olive Krona banked a 86.4 the first time around, 86.4 for Jaron Olive Krona. So I think that will be, I mean, it puts him in the game, but it ain't going to be good enough to be in the top 10. We'll see. I just about guarantee at least 12 cars go over 90. I do enjoy listening to this thing. there from Oliver Croner. It seems, Kenny, like when you get that wrong, if you get up too wide, it rockets you back across the track, and then once you've got one side, you're almost guaranteed to do the side dirt drop. So as we know, 3 single offs in a pass is a 0. So here is Jaron Oliver Croner for Parts Trader. Right parts, right time, right place. And this is where Jaron Oliver Croner dirt drops. I'm not sure how far off the edge he went. It wasn't terrible, but it's still going to be a deduction. No, I'm sure it's just covered under anything which it's kind of like flames, right? Because there was always a debate around some of the rotary cars have the big overrun. So
ultimately it comes down to the decision of the clerk of the course.
Yeah. It's a bit like
under the current bodywork ruling from Schedule A through to the technical regs of D1.
Well, this is better from Dan Caldwell looking strong here. This is a much better initiation from Dan Caldwell. Gets back just a little bit messy there through his transition, but then he's got back on the gas. This is his best run I think we've seen from Dan Caldwell. I hope he can put this together because I really want to see the man from the South Island get a strong result. And Caldwell holds it. Dan Caldwell, nice run, Dan.
Dan Caldwell throwing down the VIP frames and trusses.
I reckon you can always tell when they're excited about a run, they keep going just for that little bit longer. They give it a little bit extra up the straight, and then the clerks of course is right. Just go, oh, can you stop, please, sir? Would you mind? Would you mind?
GT radar replay. I mean, just really good drive here. The car coming unweighted and then back down. An interesting car balance that they're running in the VIP machine, and
they are.
Dan just doing a great job there in his second lap, and the South Island fans will be loving that one.
Big horsepower though, those cars, big horsepower. All right, here we go with Clayton Daly, currently sitting provisionally number 1, 93.1. And Jaron Oliver Croner jumps up to 86.4. Jaron Oliver Croner to 86.4. Oh, sorry, that's a second run, isn't it? Dan Caldwell, 87.6. Dan Caldwell, 87.6. As we see Clayton Daly, again, just producing that haze of tyre smoke off the rear. Is it just me, Kenny, or does this car look like it sits really low to the ground? Is it a perception, or is it?
It's quite a low sort of setup. The body kit, the styling, and the low profile tyre that he chooses to run as well sort of gives it that look at as he flies through the last section. We sort of missed that transition into the last 2 zones there from our perspective in the commentary box. Of course, we only see what we can see in the screen in front of us, as opposed to the judges who can see upstairs and can take a look at the whole track.
Yeah, look, I do. I do
enjoy
enjoy
damage
watching.
there.
Yeah.
On the,
it's got some race tape.
RHB machine's got the 100-mile-an-hour tape.
All right, sounds like there's a bit going on maybe down in the pit area. Is there something going on down there, Keske, that you can report on, or what are we looking at here, boys? Is there something exciting going on? What's going on here? Can we get on? Now that's the kitty litter. And that's Jordan Joyce's car, and that's the blower, and that's Punny, and that's GK, and that is... What is that? It must be oil, right? Because... And that's Fangadan.
Do you want me to go live?
There's Lance Hasty from the D1NZ team over there as well. So this is live as we're seeing it as well. Unfolding story here in pit lane. We see Fangadan's pulled up right behind Jordan Joyce. Is Keske down there and able to get us some insight, or are we're looking at Johnny Latham on the screen about to do his second pass, but the lifeblood of the 2JZ from Stock Street looks like it's leaking out.
Mate, we're here with Jordan. There's obviously a bit of oil on the ground. What's happened?
You've just gone out. We haven't really had a problem with oil before, but the dipstick's actually blowing up, which has ended up going all over the windscreen, and one of our bonnet pins actually come a little bit loose, I'm guessing, maybe from the oil, and half the bonnet was up in the air, and I was half mid-initiation. I was like, oh, mate, I'll carry on, but yeah, we're trying to give it a clean. The boys ended up just chucking some water on the ground to clean it all up, and we'll get into it, bro, and try to get it out for a second quali.
No, good on you, mate. I mean, it is part of drifting, right? There's always something that goes wrong, but hey, your team are onto it.
Yeah, no.
You get back out there soon enough,
We'll get it sussed and cleaned up and back out there for the last quali.
No, good on you, mate.
Well, he's still smiling, isn't he? Jordan Joyce is still smiling, which is good to see. And sponsored by NZKW. Thank you to NZKW for your support of D1NZ as well as a series. We take a look at Johnny Latham. And again, I kind of just enjoy listening to this car sing, Kenny. It's such a great audio symphony. Here we go, Johnny Latham, TRD NASCAR power singing.
On some lock for that last bit there.
That thing's got like an instant on-off bake the tyre switch. Like, it was just so snappy. But watch this on the replay. It's just on that transition. He was out of it and then he just jumped it and it just baked that tyre so fast.
So super smooth through the entry there. Being a little bit more cautious on dialing on not too much angle on the entry, lining up
right
that
here.
First scoring zone. And then you see that throttle use that you're talking about. It just stamps the throttle and it's just got so much response. So great job there by Johnny Latham again in the TRD NASCAR machine, and certainly the V8s and one V12 are locking out the top four at the moment.
Well, they do like this track, right? So they do like this track. So we are looking at a mechanical for Jeremy Slammett at the moment. So Jeremy Slammett was our last round winner, his first D1NZ podium. So can you bring us up to speed with where we're at the moment, just qualifying result-wise? Maybe just recap the top 10 from Pro Sport. This is the Pro Series now, but we have completed Pro Sport. So how did that result come out?
So Blake Miles to the top was the pole sitter with a 97.7. Riley McEwen, our scholarship winner this year, P2 in the rotary with a 96.6. And Corbin Wilson was P3 with a 95.2 as we head down to Keske in the
All right, we're here with Luke Fink. What's going on, mate? What's happening with the car?
A few car dramas, mate. We're having an issue with what we believe is a crank sensor, but there's sort of issues with basically it talking to the ECU. It's just causing cutouts. We're chasing it all day from my very first lap. I know I can get the line and everything right. There was no drama there. It was just the car's not allowing me to do it. And at this point, we've had to throw in the towel on the JDM Racing S15, and I am going to be jumping into the Drift Japan S15 and sharing that car with Ben Hodges. He's a bloody legend, and the boys are going to get me out there. I'm going to have one test lap in that car and go straight into qualifying, and obviously need to compete in that car tomorrow. And Ben's just a legend. He goes, championship's on the line. If it comes to me versus you, you're going on, mate, and like, unreal.
I mean, as a championship leader at the moment, you need something to get you back out there to get the points, and obviously Ben's the man to offer you his car. So, I mean, yeah, up to him, right?
Well, ironically, the trusty R32 got crashed earlier today and then had a gearbox issue. So even our backup car is no good. And then, unfortunately, Laurie is super short. The way he sits in a car, like, would probably be good for you. I don't know if you can see my stance here to be at Keske's height. I cannot fit in the 180. So my only choice is jumping in Ben's car. Yep. So
no, good on you, Luke. We'll get you back out there. Hopefully you do all right. And yeah, back to you.
Well done, Keisuke Nagashima, our 2024 Pro Sport champion. Doing well despite being mocked for his stature by Luke Fink in the pits there. He's average height for a Japanese man, I'm told. Not Luke Fink, I mean, Keisuke, obviously. Luke Fink is Australian. So, actually...
That is a massive story in the pits, but we'll watch Sean Potros at the moment.
Becky from Potros. He does know this track like the back of his hand, but unfortunately, that is not the way to maximise your point score. So Sean just goes out and throws down wild. I do actually know that Sean Potros and Jordan Joyce managed to crash into each other in practice again for about the 500th time.
Probably
they just keep crashing into each other, and it's because Sean does these wild, snappy transitions. Have you asked?
Almost lifting a wheel there through the transition, through the lineup into the layup into outside zone.
Why does
the car's got a lot of pace and super aggressive drive here from Sean Potros. Again, lifting a wheel into the skate bowl at the end, into the hairpin, but switching back at the end of the run, as well as that big backy through after the first transition, I think is going to hurt him, and maybe that's just a bit of blow the cobwebs out run for Sean Potros, and maybe we'll see something a little bit more refined into the second lap.
Yeah, so as we just learned, Ben Hodges' car will be double duty this weekend by Ben Hodges and Luke Fink. They are teammates under the JDN stable, despite Ben Hodges' car carrying the Drift Japan livery, and Drift Japan, of course, is our major prize sponsor for the year with a $15,000 value trip to Japan for both our Pro and Pro Sport winner. What's with the active aero today, Kenny? We've got a lot of boots flapping around. Do bonnet pins just fall out here at Manfeild or what?
Maybe that was the theme of the Facebook post they put up this morning on the Oversteer TV page. If you haven't checked out the latest Dicey Moments compilation video, go check it out from round 3 in Auckland.
What was that? Did we miss a waiver there on entry from Hodges? I think we did. I think he had the same. It was the same thing that Curtis Lilly had before it went, and then he had to drop. Sorry, I was just picking that up as he came through, and there it is again.
Yeah, another sort of. Well, he was sort of like a bit of a dab on the handbrake, but the front. Yeah. So he's fighting the car a little bit there, not quite settled into it in the Drift Japan Sylvia, and I do wonder if the boot lid might have been making a clunking noise in the rear end as it was sort of flapping as he's coming around the entry, and maybe he sort of heard or felt that in the car and maybe had a bit of a hesitation. Clayton Daly still currently at the top with a 93.1. Dan Caldwell in second with an 87.6. Johnny Latham in P3 with an 87. Jaron Olive-Corona with an 86.4. Sean Potros with an 82. Despite
the so if he actually didn't do the backy right, he'd be well over 90. So here is Rody Knowles, Amalgamated Roofing sponsored driver. Rody Knowles, the veteran. We can call him a veteran because he's been drifting for as long as Fangadan has. And as we learned last round, he battled Fangadan for the first time in a near 20-year drifting career. So it's good to see Rody back. It's great to see him enjoying himself, and I'm sure he would appreciate me saying hello to his lovely wife Bex and son Bradley. So hello to the Knowles family, who will either be here or tuned in on live stream, because they're always big supporters of Rody Knowles drift.
Almost a bit of a cautious approach there to the last outside zone as we take a look at the replay now for Rody Knowles in the Amalgamated Roofing S13.
It's a Rody hallmark, right? Rody is a guy who, I call him a student, right? There's always the running joke. If you put a set of regs up in the drivers group, Rody Knowles is the first guy who's read cover to cover.
The car's got a bit of pace there, just the way that the relationship to the throttle use and where the car was pointing as he was dialing that power on. It's got quite a bit of drive in that car, so it's real interesting seeing that last layup into the last outside zone on the skate bowl there. Of course, Rody Knowles might be a veteran, but it is actually his first full campaign in the Pro Championship.
Yep, I know. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yep.
In 20 odd years.
But the same car, right? Isn't it the same? Oh no, he had the 180 SX to start with, didn't he, when he started out? So going way back into the history books as we take a look at Braden Mayer now. If you weren't with us for Pro Sport, we actually saw Braden's younger sister make her competition debut earlier. Azalea Mayer came out and did her very first 2 competition laps, and she is locked into battle tomorrow. So great to see not 1 but 2 females competing in D1NZ Pro Sport here in the development series as we take a look at Braden Mayer for the Authentic Honey Company. We've gone from kind of a cautious approach to 150 miles per hour, which is the only way Braden Mayer knows how to drive. And Braden Mayer, of course, is on everyone's radar because he's the guy who came from absolutely, I shouldn't say, that was wild. That was a wild big broadside slide.
It was a slide into the outside zone 5, but he just didn't quite have enough momentum to carry it through the end there. But what a run here from Braden Mayer. Of course, another driver in his first ever full Pro Championship campaign. He sort of exploded onto the scene at Mad Mike's Summer Bash, and then got a taste of the D1NZ action, and now has really started throwing down some pretty impressive runs. He was just shy of the podium at round 3 at the last event in Auckland.
Has he even done a competition lap here before? I don't think he
not.
has.
He potentially has not ever driven this track before, but he's certainly unafraid of throwing it down.
Because he's Tauranga way, isn't he? He's like sort of up Golden Triangle up north. So Hampton Downs is where he does most of his driving. Mad Mike Drift Force. McManaway jumps into his other car after the other car got other car broken.
To be fair, the the 180 is probably a better machine than I'm probably going to get. I'm going to cop a lot of flack for this in the chat box on Oversteer TV, but it's probably a better machine than the R32 for James McManaway. So let's see what he can do in the 180 V8 single turbo JDM Racing. This is the car that Laurie put on the podium at the last event. Oh, just body parts flying off the car.
Off the JDM machine.
He was just a bit too tight there on that inside line, and he's off the last scoring zone on the outside. So
I thought, looking at the frontal shot, that was like a radiator cowl or something feeding stuff, but it must have just been some sort of cover that was just, so you watch it as it comes through here, look, you can see it hanging down where it's come out. I thought it was a cowl feeding air up and, but then it's been ripped out as it comes around the ripple strip here.
Well, like we for many years before the retirement of, there it goes there, it flies off the front end of the car, and there was a correction as well, so big handbrake. So it got a bit ugly towards the end there for James McManaway. Points on the board, no less, but I was just sort of remembering back to the days of Pukekohe before we retired that track out of the calendar, and of course that track is no longer around in the New Zealand motorsport scene, but it was notoriously the fastest entry, right? It was like one of the fastest entries in the world, 200 kilometers an hour, and quite often the cars would do a couple of rounds and then turn up to, say, round 3 or 4 at Puke, and then that's when body parts on the car started flying off. We had Jake Jones in the Galore Parts GT86. His windscreen actually blew out on entry, just going to show just how much air movement there is on the faster tracks, and that does play a role into the way that these cars handle out on the circuit.
And Mr. McManaway gets a 0 for that, so is it?
Wow, so
0
okay.
for that.
I think it was a straight line there, and a reinitiation on handbrake. So that,
and I think he dragged the handbrake all the way back to Wanganui. I'm pretty sure he did. Like, he was on that handbrake for a long time, right? Now, I had a chat with Sam West before. I said, Sam, I think you've been driving 120%. You should dial it back to 100 and just try and win, right? And he goes, no, not interested. I'm going out to have some fun. I drive 120% all the time. Don't care. So who knows what will happen with Sam West. He might score a 99, or he could hit 88 miles per hour and go back to the future and land in 1955. So we never quite know what we're going to expect from Mr. West, but whatever it is, it's always going to be entertaining. Sam West, of course, part of the RHP drift team, who we mentioned earlier. So we have Clayton Daly still in position at number 1 at the moment, provisionally for qualifying. Look at Sam West lifting that wheel, Kenny. Look at the car bouncing, and he cranks it to lock, but it's just a little bit too aggressive there, and he has to make a massive correction there and feed it some more lock to try and keep it going where he wants it to go, and that's caused it to come up short, and then he's aborted the run, and he's off the track. Sam West. Oh, Mr. West, what are you up to? I told you it would be entertaining, Kenny. Oh, mate.
Sam West full sends in the RHP. Look at the front end of it lifting, three-wheeling through the entry at probably 170 kilometers an hour on the entry there. So
I just wonder if it was, maybe it was too fast.
Sam West full sends in the RHP machine.
It's just West, Sam West, right?
I mean, that was actually a super entertaining.
Oh, hang on,
run.
was that wind up of the steering again? The same thing that happened at Mount Smart, because remember he said his steering was grabbing when he went to full lock, and the same thing happened to him at Mount Smart. What just flapped around the side of the car then? Is it just maybe it's just a camera angle that's tricking me, is it?
Might have glitched out on you.
Just thought I saw something flying around. Oh, maybe it's just the shadow being picked up from.
Oh, you know, you're right. The bootlet's still.
Yeah, it was flapping around.
Throwing down is Ben Rogers, the Drift Japan.
And 0 for Hodges.
Just not coming together for him. So Ben Rogers, unfortunately, not able to throw down a second pass here.
Now, what happens if
he's got 80.2 on the board though? He's in the top 10 currently.
Okay. Oh, what I was going to say is, what if he breaks that car? What does that mean for Fink?
Well, Fink is probably going to have to take that seat out of the 180 and remount it. Now, of course, we're talking about this evolving story. So Luke Fink, who just joined us on the live stream, his main car is out of action now.
Yes.
And once you enter qualifying today, that's the car that you've got to stay in for the rest of the competition.
Well,
so he's got to be super smart about what car he's going to jump into to protect his championship lead. And Ben Hodges, his Australian teammate, offering him the keys to jump in the Drift Japan Sylvia and they're going to double stint that car tomorrow.
So I'll ask you a question in a minute, but we'll take a look at Sean Potros because it's always entertaining. I want to see if he does this big backy flick again. This is what we saw from earlier. Now it's more consistent. There it is. He's dialed it back. He's taken 10% back out of it. This looks good from Sean Potros. This is the Potros we come to watch, we come to love. We love seeing Sean Potros when he's flowing like this, when he's not overdriving the car, when he's just cranked a lock. And look at that, he hazes the track out. That's the Potros I'm here to see. That's Sean Potros.
That was an amazing run there from Sean Potros. Threw down in his first run with a backy, but then refined it a little in the second lap here. And we're just looking at just how aggressive the run still is.
That was nice.
Great wheel work, great steering input. Not too many corrections there for Sean Potros. Just cool, calm, collected, plenty of aggression still. Dab of the handbrake, just trying to just set the car up, and wow, just a lot of aggression, lots of throttle. Certainly, probably in the shot for taking the Smoke Machine Award away again for another year.
So there is actually, I think there is actually a prize for that, isn't there, this weekend for most entertaining or fan choice driver? So I think the drivers get to vote. My understanding is the drivers will get to vote for their 3 favourites, and then we'll open up to the public via D1NZ. So there's 2 prizes. So I think there's a best battle. There's best battle, which the drivers again will get to vote for that. And then there's the most entertaining driver. Both of those, once we get to the top 3 finalists, we'll open that up to the public. And the only reason that's like that is because we know that every driver has fans, right? So we just don't need to see votes for all 27 drivers in every class, right? Because everybody has their own particular favourites. So we'll get to a top 3, and then via D1NZ we'll allow the public to vote on that. And
Sally still at
Potros.
P1 with a 93.1. Sean Potros up into P2 with an 89.9.
Now, I reckon
JZ in between the 2 V8s there with Dan Caldwell in 3rd.
I'm going to say, I reckon he got penalised because I think he came up short on that 5th point.
That little dab.
Yeah, and he was just, he went there early and then he came down the track early. He was on lock, but it was just, now, you mentioned before that Rhodey was safe right the first time. Now Rhodey looks like he's grumpy. Now this looks like Rhodey wants to prove a point. Now you're hearing that limiter action. He's just staying in it. He's wider out on the track. He's more aggressive. There's a little bit of wheel work there from Rhodey. He has missed that inner, but he's gone too high up the track. So the judges will mark him down for missing that the final inner clip, right? Yeah, I think that's right. I'm not a judge. I'm just trying to work out.
You are right.
Oh, I am right. Good. I don't hear that very often. So.
It was super interesting again, just watching the car setups of some of these Pro Championship cars with the big semi-slick tyres as they roll through on the camber, and just seeing how there's so many different setups that I'm seeing coming through with the way the cars settle over the bumps, especially on entry. Rhodey's car was just a little bit all over the place. It was front and rear, and then up and down. And the cars just getting thrown around on that super fast entry. Of course, it is the fastest track on the calendar this year for the D1NZ series, and certainly I'm just sort of reminiscing some of those entry speeds from the Pukekohe days, but certainly some of these guys are going to be topping 100 mile an hour coming around that first turn.
Maybe do an oversteer overlay. That would be really interesting, just to do a whole lot of entries. One, because there have been a lot of cars that have got that bounce, and then there are some others that just look really settled and really flat, right? Like Fangadan's car, now that's going to be a 0, I think, because that's a complete understeer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got a bit wash.
I think it's enough.
Front end wash there, push, understeer, and then great job to recover out of it.
Yeah.
Like, he's done a superb job to get a handle of that and finish the lap, but I think that's where the judges will be really harsh on him.
Yeah, so let's have a look at this again as he comes through the inside, through here, and then he'll turn it, and that's where so that's an understeer.
Crossed up on
and
him.
once you understeer like that, that is a 0, because I believe you are defined as going straight for more than a single. It's 1 second, isn't it? It's effectively the way I got told.
I thought it was, well, it used to be 1 foot or 1 wheel rotation.
Yeah, the way.
So it's actually quite harsh, because in other series it's a little bit more lenient when all 4 wheels gripped up, heading in the same direction.
The explanation I saw for it the other day was if you can say 1 formula drift during the time it's going straight, or during, that was about the right time. That was it depends who you are, right? But it's 1 formula. It's 1 foot is the time that I got to. Now, obviously, depending on who you are, you say that faster or
That
slower.
was gold, by the way.
What's that?
That was gold.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
1 formula drift.
Just a reference to our earlier conversation before we got onto the broadcast. As the next batch of cars heads out on track, here in qualifying. We are in the mighty Manawatū, friendly Feilding. It's the fastest track of the calendar, and these guys are going to be certainly throwing down on that super fast entry. It's fast flowing, lots of camber, a great aerial shot here, top down, looking at the warm-up laps for the guys as they head on out for the next batch of qualifying. Clayton Daly still P1 as some
What's on the track?
carnage gets
What's on the track?
picked up off the track.
That is Purahi from Smart Steel. Smart Steel, of course, are sponsors of our recovery for the entire D1NZ series. Now, Purahi is, of course, the international Māori man of mystery.
He's the Māori Viking,
yes,
right? So,
he's a superhero. He's a very, very important member of our team. He's just having a think. Actually, he's just scratching his beard at the moment. That's all he's doing for those younger viewers watching out there in live stream land. Purahi, of course, doesn't know that he's on TV currently because he can't hear us or see us unless someone is talking to him from race control. So told there's a small but ineffectual trail of oil out there at the moment. Wonder if that's from Jordan Joyce, possibly earlier.
Yeah, and that's something that when we saw that action unfold in the pits there for Jordan Joyce, I did wonder if that was a contributing factor to what happened at the end of the run when he got it all wrong on that inner clip.
All right, James McManaway currently on the ghost points. There's a 1. It's a 1. So I will, after this, if possible, try, because I know that some fans probably have just tuned in after work because it has just gone after 4 o'clock, so we'll recap Pro Sports numbers for you just when we get a moment in between brackets. So hold on and we'll get you some Pro Sport results shortly as we take a look at James McManaway behind the wheel of the, you said this was the turbocharged LS 180SX driven by Lauri Heinonen at the last event, so we know the car certainly has the pedigree and the capability to do what it needs to do. Just up to Mr. McManaway to get it to where he needs to, and I thought he was going to shortcut across the inside there, but he managed to extend out.
He managed to save that.
Solid scores, so McManaway gets himself off the ghost points. All right, so we take a look at the GT radial replay. What's flapping around over that bonnet over the, is there a cover or something like a cowl over the wastegate bonnet coming out the, you see it flapping around? It's on the front there. Is it duct tape?
Duct tape, something.
Maybe it used to have twin pipes coming out the bonnet.
Something around the wastegate or turbo set perhaps.
Alrighty,
James
so
McManaway getting points on the board in that 180. That 180 actually certainly looking settled on the entry when we were talking about the body language of the cars.
All right,
some of these ride
I'm going to jump on over you quickly, Kenny, just for those who've just joined us for Pro Sport. Blake Miles qualified 1, Riley McEwen at 2, Corbin Wilson 3, Aidan Daly 4, Sam Rowson 5, Guy Maxwell 6, Daniel Edwards 7, Ryan Parry 8, Jason Wu 9, Jordan Richards 10, Dean Young 11, Tyler Knowles 12, Cam Omlevray 13, Chris Milder 14, Troy Brown 15, Caleb Sheen 16, Jake Fastnage 17, Johnny Burns 18, Isaac Aldridge 19, Luke Chappell 20, and then Curtis Lee, Jay Broughton, Kim Thorley, Zalia Meir and Kevin Ryan all scored a 0, so they are in battles, but they all banked zeros, so that will mean the first 7 cars in competition by virtue of being the top 32 will have a bye run to the 16. So Blake Miles, Riley McEwen, Corbin Wilson, Aidan Daly, Sam Rowson, Guy Maxwell, and I believe Daniel Edwards will be in the top 16 already, and we'll start from Ryan Parry onwards as far as our top 32 battles.
So we're nearly through, we're nearly up to the halfway mark of the qualifying session for the Pro Championship. We've got more cars out on their warm-up laps, and Sam West now heading out for his second run.
He needs to somebody get in his ear and just dial it back, right? Sam, could you just do a 90% run, Sam, and not fire off the track? Wherever team manager Nicky Bartlett is, get in Sam's ear and just say, can you just bank one? We've seen Aidan Daly drive well. We've got Clayton Daly on Q1 provisionally at the moment, although we are, of course, in reverse order. So this looks more settled now from Sam West. That wasn't the wild entry that we saw to start with. It still looks like it doesn't. I don't think it wants to go where he wants it to go. I think he's had to take the steering lock out of it.
Frozen wheel out of zone 5. Bouncing off the limiter at the end. Still not a bad run. He'll get a deduction for the wheel drop. Just how much of a correction was there through the inside clip number 2? take a look at the GT radial replay here. Bit of a
It's
handbrake to set up, another dab as well to set it up, and then it pushed, and I don't think he quite got a straight line, but he would have got a corrective penalty there.
He definitely didn't try and wind it to as much lock as he did before, right?
And then was that 1 or 2 wheels off?
I think, yeah, let's go with the 1. For Sam, he stayed on the track. That's a win.
It's certainly still an impressive run there for Sam. He certainly always puts on entertaining laps, as does Mr. West in the RHP machine. Take a look at Smart Steel Buildings, putting some bumpers together in the back. They'll be off to what I call the graveyard, which,
We'll put those on trade.
which is pretty much a big pile of parts that teams and drivers come and grab their stuff at the end of the session.
We'll put that on trade me later for $1, right? Alrighty, so locked in so far. Clayton Daly has 93.1, Sean Potros 89.9, Dan Caldwell in 387.6, Johnny Latham 487, Jaron Olive Crona 86.4, Braden Mayer 86.4, Rody Knowles 83.5, Ben Odgers 80.2, and then James McMahon. Now, what's happened here? Has McManaway's second score come in?
Yeah, still waiting on. I wonder if he's actually been.
Has he been zeroed?
Yeah.
Has McManaway got 2 zeros?
I think it looks
Potentially, yeah, it does, doesn't it? Both of those have locked in. So at the moment, we think the JDM boss man has 2 zeros, which is going to be interesting for him because he's going to have to battle his way through the 32, and it's going to make it hard for that team, right? Because they're sharing cars. Now, what I was going to ask you before is, if Ben Odgers had a problem, given Luke Fink has declared he's going to drive Odgers' car, can he change cars again before qualifying?
It's all down to what car leaves the line.
Okay. All right.
Jordan Joyce now out for his second pass. So this is a delayed second lap here for Jordan Joyce in the NZKW machine. Of course, you do have to go and set your second lap as soon as your car is fit to do so after the repairs in pit lane.
Doesn't look that unhealthy to me. Jordan Joyce, plenty of smoke, blazing off the rear tyres there. Jordan Joyce on the loud pedal, fills up zone number 3, gets out to 4. Is he going to get 5 nice and tidy? Yep, glides up the track, gets number 5, tucks it down the inside, and that's tidy from Jordan Joyce. Nice, Jordan. Very nice, Jordan.
That was a tidy run there from the NZKW machine.
That's that little celebration I was talking about before. When the drivers are happy with the lap, you just about always see them extend out that rolling burnout for just that little bit longer because those tyres are no good anymore. They're dead.
Look at the tilt of the car as it was coming through the entry. Great job here from Jordan Joyce, feeding the throttle, getting out to those zones a little bit later on outside zone 4, but certainly filling them and getting the right angle approach to the last part of the skate, what I call the skate bowl. And I'll use that term for the rest of the weekend, I think.
Yeah, the bowl, yeah. I don't mind it.
It's not quite, it's the way that we approach the hairpin turn here at Manfeild.
It's actually, if you think about it, it's almost like putting a saucer, right? A cup like upside down. You roll off the edge of it because that's what happens, right? If you drop off the edge of it, you actually roll off.
Great way of explaining.
And if we get any moisture at all, or tomorrow morning if there's fog, I think in Pro Sport. All I was going to say is I think for Pro Sport tomorrow, it'd be interesting because I think if you get up anywhere near the edge of the track, I think it will be quite greasy early in the morning. And as we know with the Pro Sports, it is challenging for them because again they're development series drivers, they're still learning, they don't have a million setups at their disposal, so they also have to battle often pro level horsepower with Pro Sport tyres, which
coming to a fast track like this, especially with some rubber down from the first day, you put water on that, it becomes like ice skating. It's super difficult to drive on, and super slow too.
I want to know what Launchmaster Willie was talking to Ben Odgers about. Was he just telling him something with the car, or was he just chatting to him?
Well, I think this is actually Luke Fink. I think this might be Luke Fink.
Oh, okay, so what?
Okay, so he's just actually going around to line up to the release. That's where he's going.
Ah, okay, so slight miscommunication, right?
We've done his mechanical lap, and he has to actually line up in his position. So.
Probably just got himself a nice fine for drifting in a part of the track that he wasn't supposed to. That's all right. I'm sure he can send that bill to the series promoters or whatever. That'll be fine. All right, here's Mike Thorley. We've already seen his much better half drive earlier today. Kim.
He's 125 years old, apparently.
He's still 125 years old. He's the oldest man in D1NZ. I thought Rody was the oldest man in D1NZ, but apparently it's Mike Thorley.
Sorry, Thorley, that's a graphic issue from the team, and I'm sure they'll be typing away to try fix it.
So Mike has the 186, RB30, RB25 on the 30?
30 for Thorley, I think. And I think that 25 is in the...
Kim's car now, right. Okay, so here we go, Mike Thorley first. That was a weird initiation.
Snappy,
What was it?
a real snappy swing shift. Forcing it out of the front end, so possibly trying to straight 6 turbo, not quite filling outside zone 4, not quite getting out to 5, but very, very small handbrake there to get into the last part of the section. Not quite getting through on a fast, flowy lap that perhaps he probably wanted.
Yeah, well, it was just a different type, and we've seen this a lot from Michael Thorley. He is another driver.
The car almost just looks tight, right? What they call tight, right? Yeah. And it was sort of evident from the way he entered just how quick he snapped that wheel.
I think Mike,
and how it responded.
Mike is a driver who likes a safer setup. He is generally a safe qualifier in his first pass. If you're going to see something from him, you always see it on the second pass. But he is always a guy who's always going to go out and just put down that first sort of 70, 80. It's never. It's just him. I think it's just his makeup as a driver. Here's a guy who won't play it safe, but has been fighting issues. He's been fighting issues all of the last 3 weeks. Same problem, right? He came here to test at Jamboree. We were here at Jamboree. Adam came all the way over from the bay to do some testing and broke the car the first couple of laps that went out, and had to take it home and fix it. And I think we've got the same issue today. It's 750 odd horsepower of 2JZ motor underneath the bonnet for Adam Whitehead, sponsored by Pertec. He is a man who's done a lot of laps here, right? This is also local track for him. I spoke to him and said, look, you going to do Nacky drift or anything? Like, no, you guys are my home track here at Manfeild. So there we go. There's that nice comfortable flow from Adam Whitehead. Not too bad here. Looking nice and dialed. Oh, then I've just texted him.
Deep into outside zone 5.
My bad. I don't think I should compliment drivers, right? I think every time I say something about a driver that's nice, bad things happen.
GT radio replay here of the Pertec S14 of Adam Whitehead, another driver in his first Pro Championship debut, his first season in the Pro Championship, stepping up from the 235 class. Good job through most of it, stacking on quite a bit of angle. This is where the big penalties have probably come from the judges. Handbraking into OZ5, bit of a drag, drops a wheel, so he'll get a deduction out of that. Great tip in though from Adam Whitehead on the entry.
I want to know.
Nothing too fancy, nothing too aggressive. The car just naturally getting into the zone it needed to be in.
Oh, here we go. It's Wolfie time. Kurt Blackie, definitely a young man on the charge at the moment. Has he just gone the wrong way around the cones? Do you have to go around the outside? I don't know.
There might be.
Is he,
is he
mechanical as well?
Rolling around.
Is this just so I did see Launchmaster Willie talking to him as well. So are they just out of order or doing something or other? I don't know. I'm a bit confused.
He might just be circulating back.
Kurt Blackie's just called his 5 minutes. So Kurt Blackie, unfortunately, has called his 5 minutes. That's why he chose to shortcut around the inside of the track. Now we get to a... well, it wouldn't be a 5 minute, would it? It's just, you just get to kind of... You're supposed to take your run, but he didn't start.
Line, so I think he might have sacrificed. He might end up... Yeah. He might end up losing the first lap.
I guess we just have to wait for a confirmation, right? So
I don't think you can call you mechanical 5 in qualifying. He's left the line under his own power,
but you don't.
So that's his first run there.
But I'm sure within qualifying as well, though, you don't have to run in order, right?
No, he can go and fix the car. What I'm saying is he's not going to get it. He's not going to get an extra lap out of this.
No. So if he advised Willie he wasn't going to begin his drift and he didn't enter the section, which he never did, he didn't go to the outside.
Yeah, we should get confirmation on that. Because,
so I think you just come back at the end of your bracket, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. So as long as he makes it back.
As long as he didn't.
Yeah. think he just has to come back. So I don't think. Yeah,
well, it's just whether he knew that he left the line.
There we go,
so.
Conor Halligan. This is going to be interesting. Conor Halligan looking fast and flowing, and he is aggressive with the 1.5 JZ underneath the bonnet. Conor Halligan, he is just hunting. He is a man who is frustrated, I reckon, Kenny. He just hasn't quite had the podium results go the way he probably expected to date. And this looks like a man driving with flow, driving with vigor. Look, bounced across the inner ripple strip, unsettled the car, and didn't even lift.
Super aggressive.
That's
through
nice.
The last apex. GT radial replay coming right up. This was a great run here from Conor Halligan in the 919.
That car's settled, eh? Like just.
Yeah, tipping a wheel as he threw it into inside clip number 2.
I just want to know
Gets
what
3,
happens.
fills outside zone 4,
Now,
and then look how
here?
aggressive he was.
Now what happens here? Does he grab some inside ripple? Yeah, he did. Yeah, he bounced
That's
off the inside
potentially
ripple.
a markdown and potentially another markdown for the wheel off. So
right.
we'll see how much of a penalty that was for
Well,
Conor Halligan, but a super aggressive run nonetheless, and something different to the lines that I've been seeing so far for the Pro Championship today. Dan Woolhouse up next, 4-time champ.
Now, we talked about Daniel Woolhouse is 125 years old too.
There must be the default age setting
125,
that the boys in the truck need to fix, because these guys are definitely not 125 years old.
Well, I reckon 125 though is the number of times Fang has been on the podium in New Zealand. I reckon that would be close.
You're probably not
All right, we
far
talk
off.
fast, we talk flowing, we talk fluid. Fangadan is the man we talk about when we talk about the wily old Coyote with the 900 horsepower underneath the bonnet, the Castrol Mustang. This is spec to Fangadan spec. It's not the 5D, it's Fangadan spec, and he cranks to angle, carries that lock, carries that flow, and he's just been here so many times, Kenny. We talked earlier about having a setup for Manfeild. Fangadan's got every setup under the sun for this car, Manfeild. That looks good.
That dab, we just saw Conor Halligan dab later on OZ5. He's another driver that's just pulled that out of the bag. Real short dab of the handbrake on OZ5 with a big clutch dump, and that just seems to work for him, whereas some of the other guys are handbraking a lot earlier into that zone. So interesting difference in driving styles here. Not quite getting out to OZ4, but certainly filling at the end of the zone.
Hey, Kenny, I just noticed something. Jordan Joyce to P2, 91.2. Jordan
Great
Joyce,
run.
P2,
It was a good
91.2.
run.
So Clayton Daly is still leading, 93.1. Jordan Joyce, 91.2. Conor Halligan, 91. Sean Potros, 89.9. Daniel Caldwell, 87.6. Johnny Latham, 87. Jaron Olive-Crona, 86.4. Braden Meir, 86.4. Sam West, 84.3. Rhodey Knowles, 83.5. Ben Hodges, 80.2. Adam Whitehead, 78.8. And Michael Thorley, 76.7. And we just had Daniel Woolhouse dropping at 90.6 to P4 without any deductions as yet. So Daniel Woolhouse to P4 without deductions as yet. Adam Whitehead looking to improve from a 78.7. I thought his first run was actually better than that, but the judges clearly seeing things a different way to us, Kenny. So we are hearing via race control that Kurt Blackie has forfeited his first pass, so Kurt Blackie forfeits his first pass, but he will have a further single opportunity. Now, he does only have to leave the line, Kenny, to get a single point, which will put him into battle. So we have 22 cars, I believe. So let's have a look here at the GT radial replay. Adam Whitehead, I think he needs to be further down the track. Kenny, it's
this is just
middle. It's just
I
mid.
think this is just a good, clean mid-run.
This is the mid, yeah.
That just gets him through to the show tomorrow and puts some points on the board. Nice and fluid. He'll score quite high with just the smoothness, the fluidity, but just getting through the section a lot cleaner than his first run.
I would love for Kesko to check in with Adam Whitehead and just find out if that car's healthy, because I reckon that car's just banking qualifying and they've got to go home and do some repairs to it tonight. It just doesn't seem like the Adam Whitehead we've seen before, like from what we've seen so far over 3 rounds, right? We saw at the other very fast track at Taupo, Adam Whitehead qualified second. Right, so that car's got the speed. Let's see what Conor Halligan does this time. So Conor Halligan sitting in P3 at the moment with a 91. And Conor Halligan, 919 out of the Taupo region. Also the owner of the car that Caleb Sheehan drove earlier. And Conor Halligan is on, and you can... Did you see the eyes? Did you see the eyes in that shot? That was amazing. Cameraman, get me that shot again. I want to see these guys driving through here. Now, if he stays off that strip, he could be on here. Is this going to be the one for Connor Halligan? What a run. Is Connor Halligan going to grab Q1? Of course, we have $1,000. We have $1,000 in a voucher from Bold Signage on the line for Q1 here for Pro as well as Pro Sport. And there the eyes. There's the eyes.
What a transition through into inside clip 2 from Connor Halligan. Just tipped it right in with plenty of angle, actually lifted the wheel and three-wheeled it in there and kept it smooth, planting that power down and filling the rest of the zones for the rest of the run. Again, doing another short dab of the handbrake on the last outer zone as we head down to the pits with Keske.
All right, we're with Adam Whitehead. How's the runs today?
Yeah, the track's actually really fast. It's you know, really dry and hot out here, so we're only getting 2 laps to a set of tyres. We're sort of skatey on the second lap, but yeah, the first run was real hot, real fast. Unfortunately, dirt dropped, but the second one was good. So I'll see what the score is, and hopefully it's good enough.
Good on you, mate. Have fun tomorrow.
All righty, here we go with the wily old coyote, Mr. Daniel Woolhouse, 4-time D1NZ National Drifting Champion. Let's see if we get the 3-wheel in motion, Kenny. Not quite, I thought it might have lifted through there, but it hasn't done it yet. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Fanga Dan.
Now traditionally this car is more quite settled than the Pro car. Doesn't do much wheel lifting. Certainly a lot more skatier in its setup and the way that it delivers the power.
There's that throttle modulation from Fanga Dan. It's really the only one on the field who does that, right? Always, it's the dancing, it's the coyote motor singing. And
talking about having a skatey setup, Adam Whitehead mentioning in the second lap there that sort of conservative run that we saw, he said it was a bit more skatey. So I think he was actually just sort of modulating the grip through the run and try not to do anything too wild with the grip level that he had. So
alrighty, we go.
Dan on his second run there tips it into the skate bowl on the replay. And as we take a look at the qualifying scores, Connor Halligan to the top with a 97 and pips Clayton Dilly, Jordan Joyce in P3. So Connor Halligan currently in P1 with a few drivers left to go.
Let's go to Keske.
We're here with Connor Halligan. He's just got P1 with the 97. How are you feeling, mate? How's that?
Oh man, awesome, honestly. Like obviously the last round we had a pretty rough run. It's been a bit of a hard morning getting the car right, but that felt pretty good, so no, I'm stoked. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think you got the setup right. You were 3-wheeling everywhere in that first run. That second one was a ripper, mate. So, no, well done, mate. I mean, how's the track? How's the car going?
Oh, it's sick, man. Honestly, so we've got a brand new motor in here. Yeah, it's awesome. We've got more power. Actually, yeah, it's an absolute weapon, to be honest. And I feel like we're finally getting our, getting it right. So, no, it feels real good. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Connor. Well done, mate.
Hey, Keske, don't go too far, mate, because Fanga Dan just jumped into 2 with a 95. So Fanga Dan jumps to 2 with a 95. I want to know if the old dog's got anything left to go chasing Connor Halligan.
Other side.
Other side, mate. Other side. We've all done that one.
I forgot you're a left-hand drive, mate, but how was that, mate? How'd that feel?
Oh, that felt awesome, eh? Maybe a little bit off the clips, but just heaps of anger.
All right, I think we've just lost audio there from Keske Nagashima, so we might just have to... I'm going to translate. Fanga Dan would have just said it was good, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. I'm going to come back tomorrow.
Is it there? Oh, now we're back. So your first run was a little bit, you banked it. Yep. Your second one, you sent it. So, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it felt pretty good. The first run, I just I'll keep it calm and collective. And the second one, I'll give it the hayat. And heaps of angle. And, yeah, felt really good.
Awesome. Good on you, Fanga. See you tomorrow.
So translation for hayat is the clutch. So that's the way that he dumps the clutch. And that was that thing that I was talking about, those short dabs of the handbrake on that last zone, that way that he dumps the clutch. So it's there. Plenty of wheel work there from Fanga Dan going P2. Connor Halligan, what a lap though. 97 points on the board from the 919 machine. Clayton Dilly in P3. So you got the 2J, the Ford V8, the Chevrolet, and then you got the Toyota 2J in 4th. Actually, the pair of them, Jordan Joyce and Sean Potro, is in the top 5.
Alrighty, so that's the 2 teammates. Now, I think I do need to point out, I'm pretty sure that Connor Halligan is actually a 1.5 JZ. I think he is quite specific that it is a slightly different setup to perhaps the 2 JZs within the field. So Connor Halligan 1, Daniel Woolhouse 2, Clayton Daly 3, Jordan Joyce and Sean Potros, Dan Caldwell still hanging on for 6, so that'll be a great result. And Johnny Latham as well, the 2 South Island boys inside the top 8. So they will go into the 16. We've got 22 cars, right? So 22 cars, that means the top 10 are going to go into the 16. So that's going to be interesting tomorrow as we watch Jeremy Slammett warming up his tyres. Now, what I was trying to, I guess, say before, Kenny, is I've always been interested in the fact that Fangadan will always say, though, he plays the little game. He'll always say there's a little bit more left in it. We just got to get it tuned up. We've got to get it right. You and I both know, because we've both had some involvement over the years in assisting Fangadan with various bits and pieces. He'll always say, yeah, we've got a little bit more. We've got Sam from CTB will be down there tuning that car up, getting it dialed in. Of course, it is on the... You know what we haven't talked about, Ken? The control tyres. So there's only 5 tyres that 5 tyre brands that can be run in D1NZ Pro this year, and I believe Fangadan's actually on the good ride. So this is Brody Mayer behind the wheel of Connor Halligan's other car. So that's Brody Mayer jumped into Connor Halligan's spare car.
So did they bring that car down?
No, so that's the car Caleb Sheehan drove.
Oh, I
so
see.
Caleb Sheehan drove this car in Pro Sport. That's the car that they put together for, I think, LZ.
Yes, yeah. That's
so
what
that's
I was
Connor
wondering.
Halligan's
Yeah,
spare
okay,
car.
so that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, so that's why. Yeah, so Brody Mears had a massive mechanical.
So Brody is back in the fight.
Yes, so so for those who are unaware, Brody Mears, sorry, not what do I keep saying, Brody Maher is different from Braden Mayer. Brody Maher from Tasmania, currently one of the top contenders in the series, had a massive fire in his car during practice. And
that's actually a big story we probably forgot to talk about at the top of the show because it happened in practice. And the massive fire in the car, putting the Drift League S13 out of action. So Brody Maher is going to have to drive, that S4, stepped into that S14 from the Connor Halligan team.
It's actually a massive story, because they were sort of saying earlier they're not sure that they can fix that car for Bay Park. So that is a massive championship story. Jeremy Slammett cranks it in. This is a repeat of Mount Marquetti. We got excited when I watched Jeremy Slammett qualified, and he just flows on him there and throws it down.
Well to hold that.
The New Caledonian wild child, Jeremy Slammett, comes off his first ever D1NZ podium victory. And Jeremy Slammett threw it in hot and just kept on baking the whole way through. Is it a perfect run? No, but damn, it was exciting. It was good.
The young gun from New Caledonia is certainly coming into some form in the second half of the season. He had the engine dramas at Topol, which really sort of hurt his opening sort of stanza to the campaign of 2025. But look at how he held that through the entry and then threw it in. So it's interesting seeing the different approaches that these guys are taking on the entry.
Yeah, he's got out to everything.
We talk about holding things. We're always looking for the front end steering input. You see the relationship between the throttle application, the modulation from the throttle and the clutch, but particularly the steering input tells a lot of the tail as well when you watch these runs. So if you're watching from home or here at the track, or you're new to drifting, just look at the front wheels and where they are and how smooth they are and how many corrections do the drivers use to actually get the car to be positioned where it needs to be.
So probably the best example of that was the Braden Mayer run, right? On the second one with the massive, we saw that quite clearly with the understeer, got him effectively the zero on the second pass. Now I think, is Launchmaster Willie basically, is Brody Maher entitled to a mechanical safety lap having not driven that car before? He would be, wouldn't he?
He would be entitled to a site lap, and
he may be asking for it, maybe? I don't know.
Not that gets put through.
Knowing Brody, he'll just go, I'll just send it, right? Because he's not unfamiliar with the 2JZ platform. Oddly enough, this car is less power than his SR 2.4, the SR Plenty, which was 1,000 horsepower. So there is some discussion going on here just around, I think, whether maybe that it's probably to do with that mechanical, a safety or sighting lap to get familiar with the car, or to see if we can get some confirmation here until we're so This is just being told by race control. This is a qualifying lap, so straight into it. So ignore what you're seeing on the screen. He's in an S14 with a 2JZ underneath the bonnet, and I think if I remember correctly, it was about 840 odd horsepower on JT Performance's dyno the other day. So I think this is first pass for Brodie Marr. Marr is of course a Tasmanian, but his last name is Irish, so it is Brodie Marr. He's told us that. That's why you would normally see the Marr's race shop on the side of his vehicle. And this is the spare car for the Halligan race team out of Taupo. All things considered, having never driven that car before, Kenny, you and I couldn't even. We wouldn't even make the initiation, right? Again, I said this.
Oh, I'd make the initiation. I just don't think I'd find the end of it.
I would debate that.
I'd do the Ben Wilkinson and end up in the infield, nearly rolling the car.
Oh, I've seen that. Who else? Somebody else did that. Dana Templeman did that too, didn't he? Just went flying straight ahead. This is, I mean, all things considered, very safe, solid lap here for Brodie Marr. And it's good to see him still in the title fight. So so again, repeating a major story, Brodie Marr has lost the use of the SR 2.4 powered machine. So he was, I think he was in position 4 in points in the championship.
Yeah.
So that car suffered a fire in practice.
Already in qualifying, we're predicting a shake-up to the way the championship's going to lay heading into the grand final at Bay Park.
So this is Adam Davies. Adam Davies in the 20B powered 186.
Looks like we're on for an early finish too, with just 3 drivers left to go.
Yeah, well, it's always nice when we're ahead of schedule. It's a good omen. So we'll probably, I guess, take a look at some highlights and stuff. Celebrate Blake Miles qualifying #1 again, and we may even do the handover of the certificates for the $1,000 worth of prize.
This car just sort of bounces, but the way it comes back down sort of floats down as well. So and again, another interesting setup change here.
I actually, you just hit them, it shut down. Now that's that, I reckon that's that fuel cut again. It looked like it lost the drive and the power again. I'd love to, Keske.
That was the big drama at round 3, wasn't it? They were
Keske needs to chase that down for us.
They were working the laptop, through the event at Auckland, and the car just didn't come alive, and would shut down at random times.
And that looks like what it's done here again.
I do wonder if he just went to go put the power down and it wasn't there.
And it shuts down, right?
Massive steering correction, and that will be the unfortunate ghost point there for Adam Davies, zeroing out his first lap.
And that car has like a GT42 1250 on it, right? So when it comes off boost, to get it to spool again and go back on is just plain ugly. As we see Dave Steadman, the George Clooney of Tauranga on the track. Mimico, oh, now there's the bounce and the 3-wheel from Dave. Now that car settled back down really oddly then, Kenny. The body language in this car is just very different. One of the things that's interesting too about the Mimico team is they both actually run a different rear tyre, right? They're both on trials, but one uses the more street-oriented tyre and the other uses a semi-slick, just a pure driver preference. So be a great story maybe to cover with Keske tomorrow as we go live on Sky TV, just the difference. They're both 265s.
So both Team DSR cars just riding the bumps so differently compared to the last few batches of cars that we've seen come through. So there's a team setup.
That reminded me of Doc Hudson. Turn right to go left. Turn right to go left.
And the other thing to talk about too with Team DSR is this is one of the tracks where they do really well.
Yes.
They've either won or hit each other at this event. But certainly some great memories for Team DSR here at Manfeild.
And lack of memories because they've also won a couple of after parties at Manfeild. Luke Fink behind the wheel of Ben Odge's Drift Japan Tours machine. So the LS V8 is no good, and he is in Ben Odge's 2JZ car. Really would love to know if Keske is able to find out from Luke if he has to adjust his driving style to go into the Turbo 2J versus the supercharged LS V8, just what subtle adjustments he makes as a top level driver. It's probably that driver speak thing, right, that's got to go on. Doesn't seem like he's struggling at all, but of course Luke Fink Luke Fink can drive anything sideways. He's proven it time after time after time, year after year after year. Flirts with that outside line there, and he will bang a very nice score that will probably put him I would say inside the top 6, Kenny, at a guess. I don't think there was anything too wrong there with the Luke Fink pass. So they don't seem to have fixed that boot on Ben Hodges' car, but
that's a tonight problem.
I don't. Yeah, but there just doesn't look like there's anything too wrong there with
that's a good
Fink pass.
Good first pass there for Luke Fink. Was it first or second lap?
That's first one for him. So
Michael Thorley went in to repair some steering. Had some dramas at the front end of the steering component had come loose. So maybe one of the arms was loose or a bolt had come loose or something, so they had to go tidy that up, and he's back out now to do his second lap.
They've had a busy day, that team, haven't they? They've had to replace Kim Thorley's clutch, now they're having to tighten up Mike's steering.
Which can also mean we've done a steering adjustment for improvement.
Right, so he's still 125 years old. We'll fix that before tomorrow. So was Fanger Dan, by the way. He was there it is, Fig 95.1. Luke Fink to position 2, 95.1. Jumps over Daniel Woolhouse by a single point.
You're only 0.9 off your estimate there.
Bad, is it? Every now and then I get something right. It's not very often, and everyone lets me know when I get it wrong, but when I get it right, nobody celebrates those little wins with me. This is better from Mike Thorley. He was very conservative the first time round, but this is a much better run from Michael Thorley. Maybe, as you say, Kenny, maybe there was that now what? I just choked it up there.
We always thought it was going to be a commentator's text, but no, he did a great job. Perhaps there was something going on with the steering, and they went and fixed it in the pits, gone back out, GT Radial replay. And the man who was campaigning on the GT Radials this weekend is Michael Thorley and that NZ 180SX. A few little moments there, a few little very minor waivers as he was coming through that first part of the section.
That was Mike Thorley had that weird entry too, didn't he, the first time around? He had that funny sort of throw. Maybe there was something in that steering. So I think we are going to...
And the steering, being comfortable with the front end of the car is super crucial to get outside zone 4 to 5, and then that last skateboard sort of dive. That's going to be super crucial tomorrow in the battles. And if you're not confident in steering the car, it just causes so much dramas for you as the day unfolds.
Yeah. So this is the D1NZ National Drifting Championship round number 4, coming to you from fantastic fielding in the mighty Manawatū. We are watching the top 5 in the Pro Series currently on points to qualifying. We run in reverse order, and this is Jeremy Slammett, our last up winner at Mount Smart. And Jeremy has just got wilder and wilder as the series has gone on. Again, this is of course his second season, I think it is, in D1NZ Pro, and now that he's made his way to the top step of the podium, there's no real holding him back now, right? He's got nothing to lose. The only way from here is upwards and onwards and try and grab another series win. Of course, standing in his way are the current series leader and his teammate, Mr. Fink from JDM, along with the 2 DSR boys and Mr. Ma from Tasmania. So Jeremy
throwing down a big entry nice and early.
Jeremy
feeding it, and it's just looking settled, and I think he's just coming onto some form, as I mentioned earlier, coming into the second half of the season, and certainly finishing P2 in Auckland at the last event. He's going to be one that people will want to beat. So
he looks dangerous though for battles, right? Because he's unpredictable. It's like trying to battle.
And to be fair, he did have engine dramas that were causing a lot of issues for him at Tokyo for the back-to-back doubleheader. So now we're actually seeing the form that he wanted to bring at the start of the season.
All right, so again, just a shout out to Bold Signage, who have sponsored Q1 for both Pro Sport and Pro, and I believe we are going to hand over the certificates for $1,000 worth of services to Blake Miles and whomever happens to finish in Q1 for Pro. But Blake Miles will receive a further $1,000 voucher from Bold, and Jeremy Slammett goes to P2. So Jeremy Slammett jumps over Luke Fink. So Jeremy Slammett, that aggression. And okay, so the reason Slammett has jumped over Fink is because of the second pass score. So Luke Fink still has another opportunity to jump over, and he will need to beat an 89.8. But Wolfie is hazing the track out now, and Kurt Blackie, a one-and-done shot here. Kurt Blackie, a one-and-done, because he had a problem the first time around, and Kurt Blackie is giving this absolutely everything. The RHP team will be making some noise pit side as Kurt Blackie closes it out. Nice run there for Kurt Blackie.
That was a good drive there from Kurt Blackie. Just a one-lap dash. He had to forfeit his first qualifying pass to head back into the pits and make some changes. So he had some mechanical issues that needed to be rectified in that V8 RHP machine of Kurt Blackie. The GT86 certainly throwing down a nice, aggressive and clean run here for Kurt Blackie, one of the drivers based out of the Bay of Plenty. Great job, and really great job in the last sector of the run. And yeah, he'll throw points on the board with his one lap dash.
One and done. Throw it all out there. Let's see what Mr. Blackie locks in as soon as that score comes through. But it is at the moment Connor Halligan from Jeremy Slammett from... Have you ever heard of Tassie Tag Team, Kenny? Is that something that they've just come up with in the pits? Because there's two Tasmanians and they're both driving the same car. Caleb Sheehan is going to drive this car in Pro Sport, and then he's going to hand it over to Brodie Maher to try and continue his title fight, with Maher sitting in 4th place on the points overall at the moment. So Sheehan needs to not break that car in the morning. As we lock in Kurt Blackie in P7. 92.9 for a one and done for Blackie. 92.9 for a one and done for Kurt Blackie. And that is a good effort for a solo pass for Kurt Blackie. Who knows what he could have done with that second pass, but he has it now in the bank and he will go back to his pit bay. Nice and happy. So a good solid effort for the RHP boys today as we watch the Tasmanian terror, Brodie Maher. Mr. Speed, Mr. Style, Mr. Aggressive. Brodie Maher taking some frustrations, no doubt, out on this Connor Halligan-owned machine. And Maher bags up the rear tyres and he will bank a second score there. And Brodie Maher certainly hanging on to the point end of the field. He had a 94.9 already in the bank. Kenny, do we think this one's going to go over, I think?
It might be around about the same.
Yeah, 92, 93.
To me, I feel like it's got a little bit more aggression and fluidity, but we'll see.
So we're about to see our final three.
Oh, not quite pulling that last zone. Just watching that replay in the corner there.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking like it. So the reason that these passes are important is because there's 14 points on the line for Q1, and these guys need to grab every single point they can back from Luke Fink at the moment, because Luke Fink has a pretty sizable lead at the moment. So because he's in a borrowed car, like if you're gonna beat Luke Fink, right, you're gonna beat him in an unfamiliar car. Not that he holds back.
Yeah, and look at that. Both of the Australian title fighters, Luke Fink and Brodie Maher, are P3 and P4 in borrowed cars. So despite being in borrowed cars for this event, they are still putting in the fight in qualifying here today.
Well, it's actually, so New Zealand at the moment has one, but then we've got New Caledonia, Australia, and Whangarei.
The Free States,
yeah.
The Free States of Northland.
Right. Now, this has to be a frustrated and angry Adam Davies. He's got a 0, and he is in 3rd place on points at the moment. And that's going to make it hard because it means he's going to have to come through the 32. So he needs to bank a good score here. Adam Davies got it cranked, got it angry. He's pissed off. That's an angry Adam Davies, right? You can see the tyre smoke hazing off the rear. This is where it went wrong before and it shut down. Will it go through clean? Yes, it will. Is it going to be enough to... Yeah, holds it together. Nice run, Adam Davies. Good composure. Well done. Series veteran. Just knew that he needed to bank it. Will it? I
actually think he'll score quite high for this, because he really rode the bumps a lot more differently. And I think that line choice on entry is super crucial. Where you position the car can really upset the car in some of the way the car reacts to the bumps on entry. So great run there. I noticed on the first transition, he used left foot, didn't use handbrake, just a little dab of the left foot brake just to get through there and then cut down. Pretty clean lap there from Adam Davies, and certainly a lot better than the first one.
Wow, it's not hard to beat a 0, really. So, I mean, hopefully Keisuke can get to the bottom of that for us, because Keisuke is down our 24 Pro Sport champion, Keisuke Nagashima. We saw him driving at Mount Smart, and he's joining the broadcast team for round 4, possibly joining us for round 5 as well. He enjoys his little stint on air. So
the Team DSR guys, of course, the best of the Kiwis leading the championship fight this year so far, and they will want to try and prove a point here at Manfeild. They've got some team history here, some podium finishes. They both enjoy driving at this track, and certainly they have been on some form this year. So Team DSR, of course, the 180 SX of Adam Davies and the S14 of Dave Steedman.
Yeah, they've also got some solid after-party history as well. Back in the days when we used to do the D1 after parties, we don't really do that anymore because everyone's kind of grown up and got families and kids now. So you ask the guys, what are you doing? Oh, we're just going out for dinner. Yeah, we're just going to go and chill with the team. So there will be no doubt plenty of D1 drivers out and about over the course of the weekend at various establishments around the Manawatū region. So feel free to, I guess, have a chat, say hello, say well done, but do respect their space, right? Because nobody wants to be interrogated while they're out eating with the family, particularly if they got young kids out with them. Adam Davies score locks in, and where's he going to jump in?
Not just shy of the top 10.
Out of the top 10, so he's going to fight. So he's going to have to fight through the 32. That's going to be
P11 with an 89.2.
Right, so
just shows how tight it has been though for the top 10 yet again. The top 10 drivers separated by a handful of points really.
Where's that going to put
Conor
him?
Halligan with a bit of a point lead.
Dave Steedman on angle on lock. There's a great look at that Triax front tyre print, isn't it? You can see the symmetrical tyre pattern on the front of the car. And Dave Steedman, the RB 3.2 out of Vehicle Servicing Centre in Tauranga. He does come up short on zone number 4. Does he fill them? Gets right out to 5. Probably ghosts up a little bit too high around that final inner foot there, Kenny. So I think the judges will probably deduct him there, but very nice entry there. Plenty of smoke from Dave Steedman. Nice lock, nice angle. Nice and clean through here. And then just kind of came up short here.
Adam Davies actually setting a 90.7 to get into the 10, so score adjustment there for Adam Davies, so he is in the 10. We'll await the second score here for Team DSR's Dave Steedman, as we see the last pass here for Luke Fink, who's currently leading the championship. Not in his usual car, he's stepped into the Drift Japan machine, and he's basically going to try and send this car and
send it to Japan.
Send it to Japan.
Send it to Japan, just like our Pro and Pro Sport winner will. $15,000 worth of prize on the line for both our Pro and Pro Sport winner with a trip to Japan, courtesy of Drift Japan, the ultimate Drift Japan experience. And let's see at the ultimate conclusion who is going to be the winner of that prize. Is it going to be Luke Fink? Is it going to be Dave Steedman? Is it going to be Adam Davies? Could it be Brody Martin? Could it be someone completely left field? Likewise in Pro Sport, is it going to be Curtis Lilly, Dean Young, Corbin Wilson, Guy Maxwell? Could be any of those guys as we close out at Bay Park. Of course, tickets are now on sale for the Bay Park round, 25th and 26th of April at Mount Maunganui. And here we go with Luke Fink, the current leader on points in the Ben Odgers owned Drift Japan Tours 2JZ power machine, 800 horsepower at his disposal. Luke Fink is already sitting in queue number 3. He doesn't need to do anything silly here, but it's Luke Fink doing Luke Fink things. Fills up 4, fills up 5, just a nice classic Luke Fink run there, Kenny. It's not wild or spectacular for Luke, but it's just consistent, right? That is, I sum that up. That's I want to win a championship form.
I think it was just wild enough. I mean, you could hear the throttle modulation and the clutch work there towards the end of the section, the way that he booted it through the skate bowl. But yeah, just a clean, safe, consistent and concise run there from Luke Fink. No major mistakes, no major steering inputs. Bugger all use of the handbrake, if at all.
Yeah, nice and solid from Fink. Just very consistent, and that that brings us to the conclusion of Pro qualifying for the afternoon. So while we've just got a brief moment here before Luke Fink makes his way around, we are going to hear from, I believe, our top 3 drivers. We will just recap
I did think that
Pro
was
Sport.
Fast and clean, but we'll wait the final scores.
Yeah, I was just going to run through the Pro Sport qualifying just while we have a moment. So just the top 4 being Blake Miles, Riley McEwen, Clayton, Corbin Wilson, and Aidan Daly. So we are going to start with Adam Davies, I believe. Is Adam Davies down there with Kesko? Who have you got, Kesko? Have you got somebody there with you, or?
All right. So we've got Conor Halligan, who has qualified second. So Luke's actually taken it off you, mate. But otherwise, that was a ripper run. How's your day been?
Here? Over here. Okay, sweet. So we're getting the directions. Day's been all right. I mean, we struggled a little bit this morning. Car wasn't quite right. But yeah, we just worked on it, and it's feeling pretty good now. So I wouldn't say it's 100, but it's definitely a solid setup. So no.
I mean, at the end of the day, until that last run, you had P1, right? I mean, it was a ripper of a run, mate. I mean, you got to be happy with that.
Oh, 100%. It's always feel good to put it down when you need to. You know, that's like it's always a bit of pressure with qualifying. So no, I'm over the moon.
Yeah. No, good on you, mate. I mean, you're excited for battles. You've obviously battled here before.
Yeah. No, that's what I enjoy the most, battles, of course. So yeah, no, I love this track. It's a hard one for battles, but when you get it right, it feels good. So no, keen as.
Cool, mate. All right. Well,
Kiska,
good luck for tomorrow, and we'll see you in the battles.
Cheers, mate.
All right, we are going to find Luke, who's just qualified P1. So just come with me, come with the journey. I work pretty fast, so the cameraman Dan has to come.
So Luke Fink qualifies in P1 with a 97. Connor Halligan in P2 with a 97. They are only separated by their second best score, so which was Luke Fink 95.1 and Connor Halligan 91 respectively.
Right.
So 90, it's a tie essentially for the well, not a tie, but they've both got the same score at the top of the qualifying sheet, and they're separated by their second run. Jeremy Slammett in P3 with a 95.1, Brody Ma with a 95 in P4, and Fangadan Mulhouse with a 95 in P5.
All right, let's go to Cascades with Luke Fink,
Luke.
number 1 qualifier.
Mate, P1, what a ripper of a run, mate. You jumped into the car and you absolutely adapted to it. How are you feeling?
Ecstatic after that. I got half a lap, and yeah, just got that. Big credit to Benny and the boys for it's a wicked car. I can make it work. I just got to remember that the handbrake is a down handbrake rather than an up handbrake. And I don't know who Benny's other sponsors are, but I want him to shout out because, yeah, much appreciated.
Obviously, Drift Japan, putting it P1, qualifying. Obviously, just need a gun driver to drive a gun car, so...
Yeah, mate, what a car. Well done, Luke. Well done, Ben. Good on you. Good sportsmanship. And we are done for the day. I mean, wow, what a day, mate. I mean, it's been absolutely phenomenal seeing all the drivers from Pro Sport to Pro put on a smoke show and put some ripper runs on for the day. So, hey, we're off to the highlights, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Yo!